Yeah, I mean, they're happy to do that as well. Yeah, so you'll introduce. Great.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final day of the final Olympic Qualification Regatta. Beautiful conditions out there. It's like a picture of rowing. It's the Lake of Gods. We are here at Lucerne for this event, and we are looking forward to see some really exciting racing action later on today. My name is Sebastian Franke. I'm the tower announcer, and will lead you through the victory ceremonies coming up later on as well. But I'm joined here with Camilla Hatland and Michael Schmidt. Camilla, we've been working together yesterday. What was your best race? What was the race you enjoyed commentating on most?
Well, one of my most memorable races yesterday, and I was just saying this morning, was that great repechage of the lightweight men's double sculls, where it was a photo finish and we could barely tell, could we, on the line who had got that. And that's what this regatta is all about, is those small margins that mean so much to these countries and to these crews in order to gain their place to Tokyo.
Yeah, with us is also Michael Schmidt, one of the most successful lightweight athletes from Switzerland, now just in retirement, still very fit. Michael, how are you feeling here on sitting in the commentator's booth rather than rowing yourself on the roadsea?
Well, it's a different position. I was always on the water. Now I'm here in the finish tower and looking onto the water. But it's a good place to follow the races, and I'm still pretty interested in rowing, and I'm also a bit nervous now as the race is approaching. So it will be an interesting day.
You do this for the...
So we are just a few moments away from our first semi-final of this morning, and we were just discussing this morning what we call them, because usually we would call them the A-B semi-finals, but there is no B final here at the final Olympic Qualification Regatta. If you don't come in the top three in these semi-finals, you are eliminated. So only 3 spots to keep the Tokyo dream alive. First up this morning, we have the men's pair semi-final.
Wir beginnen nun mit dem Männer-Zweierrunde, mit dem Semifinale, mit dem Halbfinale. Normalerweise würden wir sagen A, B, aber dieses Mal gibt es kein B-Finale, nur ein A-Finale. Von dem her, es wird einfach ein Halbfinale sein.
So the lineup we have for this first semi-final in the men's pair: in lane 1, Brazil; in lane 2, China; in lane 3, Denmark; in lane 4, Great Britain; in lane 5, Germany; and in lane 6, Russia.
The race is now underway, and it's the boat from Denmark, who is leading the race. With a stroke rate of 45. They are approaching the 200-meter mark.
Yeah, fast start from all of these pairs, the fastest on the course as it stands at the moment. Indeed, the pair from Denmark of Joachim Sutton and Fredrik Vistervel in the bow seats. This combination 8th at the most recent European Championships and put in a really good performance to qualify directly for this AB semi-final. One of the other winners, though, in those heats, just right up alongside them, Great Britain, who sit just half a length back, not even that quarter of a length on this Danish crew. And then looking to third, well, it's 3 qualifying spots, as we've already said, through to the A final this morning. And I think the best of the rest at the moment sits with Russia's Grigory Shulapov and Alexander Stradadev.
Wir nähern uns langsam der 500-Meter-Marke und es ist das Boot aus Dänemark, welches das Rennen anführt. Mit einer Schlagfrequenz von 38 rudern sie hier der 500-Meter-Marke entgegen und sie haben in diesem Moment die Marke überquert, gefolgt von Großbritannien und Russland auf Rang 3. Aber alles noch ziemlich nahe beieinander. Vor allem Deutschland ist auch nicht weit zurück.
So we're through 500 metres gone now, and it's still the Danish duo that take top spot through that first 500 metres. 1:37.97 the time recorded for them, just ahead of Great Britain, just over a second back to them in second place. Then in third, it was still the Russians that held down that third and all-important final slot, but so tight, less than half a second to choose between themselves and the Germans. The German combination, this pairing have been racing together since the under-23 championships, where they contested the four, Mark Kamen and Fredrik Dunkel in lane number 5, now just wanting to stick to the tail of the Russian crew to ensure that they've got that overlap and opportunity to sprint themselves into contest for Tokyo.
Das deutsche Boot ist nicht immer noch ganz gut dabei. Sie sind momentan auf dem 4. Rangrudern, ganz knapp hinter Russland. Trainiert werden sie von Erik Johannesen, ein sehr bekannter deutscher Ruderer, Olympiasieger 2012 in London im Deutschland-Achter. Das deutsche Boot immer noch ein sehr junges Boot, beide 24-jährig und noch nicht lange zusammen in 2 Rone, konnte sich aber durchsetzen gegen die interne Konkurrenz für die Olympia-Qualifikationsregatta. The race is now approaching the 1,000-meter mark, and it's the boat from Denmark which is still leading the race. About half a second in front of Great Britain, and third is Russia.
Yeah, things definitely closing up through the halfway marker at the front of the field. It has been the Danes that have led the charge this whole way, Sutton and Vistaval, but they are being taken down now by the British. Boulding and Glenister just starting to mount their third 500-metre charge. We've seen this from them so many times before, but it's very sort of wavering as to whether it pays off or not. We saw them miss out back at the European Championships on the A final by less than a couple of tenths of a second, so it seems like they're going early as they've pushed now into the lead ahead of Denmark. It's still Russia that sits in a third position. They've managed to push away from that German crew that was giving them a little bit of trouble on the approach to the halfway marker, and then it's China and Brazil in 5th and 6th.
Mittlerweile konnte das russische Boot etwa 10 Meter auf die Deutschen herausrudern, welche nun auf den 4. Rang rudern. Das Rennen wird jetzt angeführt von den Briten, und auf Rang 2 folgt das Boot von Dänemark.
Yeah, Great Britain now pushing out to even more of a lead. They're of the fastest moving boat on the course, and in fact actually it's the Danes that have slowed down, just allowing Russia and Germany to creep back on them ever so slightly in this third 500. They've got a safe enough margin as it stands at the moment, a length or so to play with as they come into the final 500 metres, and it's Great Britain that hits that timing marker first. 5:06.39 for them through 500 metres to go. Is then a couple of seconds back still to Denmark, and then 2 seconds or so again then to Russia. But that race between Russia and Germany, Michael, that's really hotting up, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's now 1 second between the crews. Still Germany a bit behind, but I wouldn't count them off. Die Deutschen sind immer noch ganz gut im Rennen, zwar auf Rang 4 momentan, aber sie holen auf und die haben die Schlagzahl erhöht, rudern momentan mit 37 Schlägen pro Minute, und ich bin sicher, sie werden alles ins Zeug legen, dass sie diesen Platz für das A-Finale sichern können.
Great Britain looking very relaxed out at the front of the field, rating 37 strokes a minute into the final 250 metres. But where the race really is on this course is for that third and final spot through to the A final. Still the Danish in second place, but Germany now on the charge, looking to gain their place in the A final. Mark Kamen and Fredrik Dunkel, coached by Erik Johansson, really going up through the ratings now. 39 strokes a minute to try and close down on Russia.
Oh, that's really close. Germany and Russia. Who will be in the final?
Yeah, so it's a really last-minute sprint here from the Germans. The Russians have responded. They're up to 8:40, but the Germans have broken through into first place, third place even. Great Britain with 3/4 of a length over Denmark at the front of the field. Nobody's bothering then. Have the Russians got any response whatsoever? I don't think they do. I think our three qualifiers are now set into this A final. Great Britain will cross the line in first ahead of Denmark in second, Germany in third, leaving Russia to fall back into fourth position. China will take fifth, and then Brazil to round off this first race of the day at the final Olympic qualification regatta. That was a goodie to start with. So we're already almost through 800 metres now in the second of these AB semi-finals for the men's pair. In lane 1, Hungary. In lane 2, Chile. In lane 3, the USA. In lane 4, the Netherlands. In lane 5, Poland. And in 6, Slovenia, with 3 crews again to go through to the final.
Wir sind nun im zweiten Halbfinale des Männer-Zweierrunde und es ist das Boot aus den Niederlanden, welches Boot das Rennen anführt. Bei 500 Meter haben sie knappe 1 Sekunde Vorsprung auf das Boot der USA und auf Rang 3 folgt das Boot von Polen. Es ist aber noch nicht entschieden. Momentan sind die Boote etwas knapp vor 1000 Meter. We are approaching the 1000 meter mark and it's the boat from the Netherlands who is leading the race, and on second place it's still the boat from the US.
Yeah, great matchup here in this second semi-final. I've been looking forward to this one actually, but it was the Dutch that I thought we would see out in front. They go through the 1000 metre just a couple of seconds ahead of the USA. It's then another really tight battle for third, as we always think it will be, with so much at stake between Poland, who hits the 1000 in third position, but really quite tight with Chile, and also Slovenia right up there. Krebs and Kass of Slovenia out in lane number 6, trying to cling to the coattails of that qualifying position. But as we approach 1200 metres, this Dutch pair down at 37 strokes a minute, the same as the USA, and they're still managing to push away. That boat speed just picking up and out of the water, and just proving too much for Peszek and De Santo of the USA.
Yeah, the Dutch boat is doing a really good job. They are former scullers, both of them. Nicky van Sprang, he was qualifying the men's double in Linz. He finished there 7th with Amos Kaiser in the double. And Guillaume Krommenhoek, he was racing the single 2019 in Henley and lost there against Olli Zeidler. But now they are in the pair and they are doing a great job. They are leading the race with more than 1 length in front of the US boat, and in third it's still the boat from Poland.
Yeah, it's still Krummenhoek and Van Sprang out in front, and I'm sure their coach Dion van Schie will be very pleased to see how well they're moving this combination ahead of a very experienced boat from the US that's come over for this final Olympic qualification regatta. The combination of Thomas Peszek and Michael De Santo has got so much experience. Peszek with years and years of racing in the pair at this level. De Santo, the ex-Oxford graduate and Harvard graduate as well, just oodles of experience, but looking safe at the moment in second space as they approach 400 metres to go. But that race for third now just started to draw out a little bit more. I think Poland trying to establish themselves, not quite as close as that previous semi-final we just saw, and the Polish double here pushed China quite hard in the repechage to get through, in the heat to get through to this semi-final.
We are about 300 meters before the finish line, and it's the boat from the Netherlands who is still leading the race. At the behind.
So we're into the final 250 metres now, and it's the crew that's led from start to almost finish. That Dutch combination, Guillaume Krummenhoek and Nicholas van Sprang, who just race their way now through the Red Boys. Well, I say race, they're floating through the Red Boys, barely challenged at all. They look very relaxed. It's going to be a great race between them and Great Britain in the final, but it's going to be tight on the line. Poland have come through now to try and push for second position and rattle the USA. I'm not sure whether it will determine too much other than what lane they'll be in later on this afternoon for the A final. These three crews now clear water ahead of Slovenia, so it's the Netherlands over the line ahead of USA and Poland. That's your 1, 2, 3. Slovenia take fourth position in lane number 6. It's then Chile in lane 2 that come in fifth ahead of lane number 1, Hungary. That's all right. It's quite a lot with the distances and everything, isn't it? You're doing great. If all else fails, just go into German. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do, right? Shall I go for the next one? Really quick, fast and furious racing here. We've got a lot of semi-finals to get through before this morning's finals that start at 10 a.m. We're now at the first A semi-final of the men's doubles sculls. In lane 1, Estonia. In lane 2, Belgium. In lane 3, Spain. In lane 4, the Czech Republic. In lane 5, Serbia. And in lane 6, Chile.
Wir sind nun schon beim Doppelzweier angekommen, beim ersten Halbfinale des Tages. Es ist das Boot von Tschechien, welches das Rennen anführt bei 500 Meter, gefolgt vom Boot aus Spanien und auf dem Rang 3 momentan Serbien. Aber es ist noch alles sehr nahe beisammen und ich würde kein Boot ausschließen, dass sie nicht die Qualifikation für das A-Finale holen können.
Through the halfway marker. Well, it's a very experienced combination here. Jan Schinchebusch and Jakub Podrazil from the Czech Republic in the centre of the lake. They weren't pushed that hard in their heat, but who we did expect them to be pushed quite hard by in this semi-final are right up alongside them in lane number 3. That's the Spanish combination who pushed Australia the whole way back in the heat. It was a really tight race, so these two crews out in front are going to be a really good match, and up at the moment it's less than half a length that separate these two crews at the front of the field. Best of the rest at the moment, well, that's Serbia, Pivac and Bedic. They came through the rep, so they've had one extra race in comparison to our crews in the centre of this lake, but it doesn't seem to be slowing them down at all at the moment as they push on ahead of Belgium.
We've been talking about the Dutch pair. They were both scholars. Here the Czech Podrazil, he was a rower. He was in the pair for many years, and now he switched into the double, and he's doing that very well. He's still leading the race, about 1 length in front of the boat from Spain and the boat from Serbia.
Yeah, it's a great little combination here of Cincebuc and Podrazil as they continue to move away from Spain, who had a great performance, as we've already mentioned, in yesterday's heat. But these three leading crews now just chopping and changing a little bit into the last 500 metres as actually the Serbians emerge into second place. They've just managed to take Spain, perhaps quite tired from yesterday's push with Australia in the heat, and they're just flagging back somewhat now into third place. I mean, they are going to have to watch out. Romania still lingering there Belgium still lingering there in lane number 2. They're up at 36 strokes a minute, and they've boat speed matching that of the Spanish as they come into 400 metres to go. But our leading trio now still the Czech Republic, followed by Serbia, who's closing hard in second, and Spain still in third.
Wir sind nun auf den letzten 500 Metern und es ist immer noch das Boot aus Tschechien, welches das Rennen anführt. Eine knappe halbe Länge vor dem Boot aus Serbien und dem Boot aus Spanien. Auf Rang 4 ist das Boot aus Belgien, welches nun wirklich etwas zaubern muss, damit sie wieder in die ersten 3 kommen kann.
So we're now into the final 200 metres, and it's still the Czech Republic's Jan Cincebuc and Jakub Podrazil in the centre of the lake. We've got a beautiful chevron here, the seeding doing its job from the heats and the repêchages to bring us the fastest crews into the centre of the lake, and unfazed at all coming into the red boys. It's 33 strokes a minute for this Czech combination, very relaxed indeed. To their left, a similar story coming from the Serbians, who raced hard to push through Spain in that third 500. Spain still just racing to the line here. They're up at 35 strokes a minute, just keeping it nice and lively to try and beat the Belgians to the line. So that's the Czech Republic ahead of the Serbians. It's then Spain in third, Belgium in fourth. It's then going to be Chile over the line in fifth, ahead of Estonia to complete that first semi-final of the men's double. So on to the second of the semi-finals in the men's double sculls. In lane 1, Ukraine. In lane 2, Italy. In lane 3, Russia. In lane 4, Australia. In lane 5, Norway. And in lane 6, Greece. Similar story here. First 3 through to the A final to join those 3 in the previous semi that we've just seen qualify. And our leaders at the moment, Australia.
Yeah, they are doing a really good job. They were crossing the 500 meter mark with 1 minute 34 and followed by the boat from Italy and Russia. Wir sind nun im zweiten Halbfinale des Männer-Doppelzweiers und es ist Australien, welches das Rennen anführt und in diesem Moment gerade von den Russen überholt wird.
Yeah, the Aussies not making it easy for themselves again in this semi-final. We already talked about how Spain had pushed them very hard in yesterday's heat and actually overhauled them in order to qualify first in that heat. And again, it's happening once more here in the third 500 for them. David Watts and Campbell Watts in the centre of the lake have just been pushed through now by the Russian combination of Potapkin and Kontratayev that are were winners of the other heat, in fact, and did record a slower time than the Australians in that heat. So interesting to see them now pushing ahead. They've got the faster boat speed, but they're matched on rates here, Michael. So, I mean, talk to me about what that means about the Russians' boat at the moment.
Well, it looks like the Russians are rowing technically a bit better. They have the same stroke rate, but a bit higher speed. And but I wouldn't count the Australians off. They are a really experienced crew, both finishing second at the World Rowing Championship in 2018 in the quadruple scull. And David Watts was also in the double at the Rio Olympics, finished 7th there.
Yeah, so interesting to see them back in second. This experienced combination, as you say, that's already qualified the quad that Australia have now chosen to put into the double for this combination to get them another qualification, another boat to send to Tokyo. I mean, they're not in any danger yet. This isn't the A final, so they've got a little bit of breathing space until later on this morning. But at this point in time, they do need to ensure that they're just watching out for what's going on around them. So Russia will go through 500 metres to go in the lead ahead of Australia. The third qualification spot, well, we've not talked much about that yet, but there was a great race going on for that just through halfway. But it's the Italians, Cimento and Carucci, that take that third spot at the moment. They've managed to push through Norway and shake off the likes of Ukraine and Greece to establish themselves in a more confident position to go through to the A final.
Wir nähern uns langsam den letzten 250 Metern im Männer-Doppelzweier im zweiten Halbfinale. Es ist das Boot aus Russland, welches das Rennen anführt, gefolgt von Australien und dem Boot aus Italien. Auf den 4. Rang haben diese 3 Boote schon einen guten Vorsprung, dass sie nicht so an ihre Grenzen gehen müssen für die letzten 250 Meter.
Yeah, still a little bit of pace here at the front of the field as we enter the last 100 metres or so. A little bit more spring in their step than the previous semi-final that had wound it down by this point. It's the Russians still up at 35 strokes a minute. The Aussies in second at 36 strokes a minute as we come in towards the line. And the ex-lightweights in at the Italian crew, Carucci and Cimento, that just do enough to keep their bow balls in front of the Norwegians over in lane number 5. Norway pushing as hard as they can. They know how much it would mean to get that 3rd place, but they just left it too late. So it's going to be Russia ahead of Australia. Italy take that 3rd and final spot through to the A final later on today. It's then Norway, followed by Ukraine, and then the Greeks will take the final spot in this semi-final. Well, I can already see the boats on the horizon here from the Finnish tower of the men's 4 semi-final. In this race, Uzbekistan in 1, Croatia in 2, Belarus in 3, Canada in 4, France in 5, and China in 6. The first 3 through to this morning's final.
And it's Canada who was the fastest boat on the first 500 meters, but not much. Second place was... on the second place was France and 3rd Croatia.
Yeah, this Canadian crew travelled here all the way from North America to try and get their boat on the start line this summer, and it seems to be paying off for them. This combination did a great job in the heats of leading the whole way down the track, stroked by Peter Crothers, Gavin Stone in the 3-seat backing him up, taking them to win their heat against Austria and Croatia. They had a very relaxed heat, in fact, so a little bit more pressure coming on them now from the French crew that sits in the lane next to them in lane number 5. They're just a short while back, a quarter of a length they've got at the moment, matched on boat speeds as well, so it is quite tight here at the front of the field. Looking back to 3rd, there's a little bit more space there back to the Croatian crew that didn't trouble Canada at all through the heats, but Croatia currently sat in the hot seat, and certainly a lot of crews looking to take that. China charging in lane 6. They're up at 40 strokes a minute now as we go through 1,200 metres. I mean, that's quite a brave move to go that early, Michael.
Yeah, and all crews are around stroke rate 40. That's quite impressive, and it's still 1,000 metres to go.
Yeah, it's all closing up in around the Croatians now. They've barely got any room to move, and everyone has got their eyes locked on that 3rd and final space. Up at the front of the field, Canada push on again. They have had to match 40 strokes a minute now. They're up at to give them that little bit more boat speed than the French. They've moved out another seat as they come into 500 metres to go, just to make sure that their name is on that first spot through to the A final. They're putting in a really good performance here again. This 4 of Crothers, Stone, Gadsden and Budchek in the bow seat, and the French, well, they had a great performance at the first World Cup of the season. They were looking really smooth, so unsurprising to see them in a qualifying spot, but unfortunately the Canadians too much for them through 500 metres to go. It's Canada followed by France, 3rd spot still with Croatia, but barely by anything. Belarus now moving here, Michael.
Wir sind nun auf den letzten 500 Meter des ersten Halbfinales des Männer-Viererone. Und es ist Kanada, welches das Rennen anführt. 1 Sekunde vor dem Boot aus Frankreich. Und auf der 3. Position das Boot aus Kroatien. Gefolgt vom Boot auf Weißrussland, aber nur etwa 1 Sekunde zurück. Es wird unglaublich spannend werden, welches Boot sich für das Finale etwas später in diesem Morgen qualifizieren wird.
Well, after that surge at 1,500 metres, China has now dropped out of the race for third, leaving Belarus and Croatia to fight it out. Belarus now only 2 metres back from that third and final qualifying spot through to the A final. This is electric here on the Rotsee as the boats fire towards the finish line. I don't think anyone is going to give bother to Canada and France. They've got clear water ahead of this third and final battle here. Croatia doing all they can to hang on. They're up at 43 strokes a minute. Belarus now 44 strokes a minute with the faster boat speed as we come into the last 50 metres. It really is going to be whose bow ball has just got the momentum to take them over the line. Canada looking very smooth, very patient round the finish, even under pressure from France. Canada with half a length over France. Is then going to be Belarus that come through in the final moments by half a canvas to take it from Croatia. That will be absolutely heart-wrenching for them. It's then China that come across in fifth ahead of the crew from Uzbekistan. I've got your note. All good. Sorry? Well, we're already through 600 metres gone with the second of those semi-finals for the men's four. And if it was anything as exciting as that, well, this is going to be an absolutely storming race. In lane 1, Germany. In lane 2, Austria. In lane 3, South Africa, who received a yellow card on the start for being late. Lithuania in 4, Ukraine in 5, and Russia in 6.
And it's the boat from Germany who are leading the race at the moment in front of Austria. No, Austria just overtook Germany and they are still rating 40 when they are approaching the 1000-Meter Mark. Es ist Österreich, welche im Moment das Rennen anführen vor dem Boot aus Südafrika, welche noch eine Verwarnung erhalten haben am Start, weil sie zu spät aufgekreuzt sind. Und auf dem dritten Rang momentan das Boot aus Deutschland mit Planer, Wimberger, Gebauer und Schröder.
Yeah, the Austrian crew have been fighting for the lead ahead of South Africa and Germany. So close. The Ukrainians also up in the mix as well. The Austrians have just had the lead snatched away from them once again by South Africa, who will get through the 1,000 metres first in a time of 3:03, but only half a second ahead of Austria. Austria, impressive to even see them on the start line, to be honest, because their strokeman Rudolf Querfeld suffered from a coronavirus pickup just a couple of weeks ago. So he's fully recovered and back here to try and qualify his crew for Tokyo as they go through the halfway mark in second. The fight for third is just as tight as it has been all morning. That really is the hot seat where you don't want to find yourself. But Germany, that crew with that world championship experience in the centre pair, Max Planner and Felix Wimberger from the ever famous Deutschlander actor, the multiple world champions linchpinning this four, but back in third and in danger from Ukraine and also, well, Russia as well, right on the coattails with Lithuania. This is really close, even at this point in the race.
It's still the boat from South Africa who's leading the race, and they also have a lot of experience, as, for example, John Smith was the Olympic champion in the lightweight men's four at the London Olympics, and Britton Lawrence was second in the Rio Olympics in the pair, and now they are in the four and they are doing a great job here. They are leading the race by about over boat lengths in front of Austria and Ukraine now.
Yeah, through that middle timing marker, that's where South Africa chose to put in a bit of a push. Sandro Paolo Torrenta in the stroke seats, just wanting to move his crew onwards and outwards from the scrap for the final places that's going on behind them. And they can now look back on the field because through 500 metres to go, well, it's all closing up once again. Ukraine now starting to try and put pressure on Austria. That second place now exchanging places between the Austrians and than the Ukrainians. Austria finding themselves slipping back further and further. They're still just in second place, but Ukraine with the faster moving boat now. I think Austria have realised the danger and they've upped the rating to 41 strokes a minute. They're back a little bit more firmly into second place now as we charge into 200 metres to go.
Wir nähern uns langsam der Ziellinie und es ist immer noch das Boot aus Südafrika, welches das Rennen anführt, vor dem Boot aus Österreich, aber es ist ganz knapp. Die Ukrainer kommen auf Rang 3 momentan und ich denke auch die Deutschen, die werden nochmals alles hinter die Riemen hängen, damit sie noch den Platz im Finale ergattern können.
Well, the ratings have really ratcheted through the roof across the board here. We've got 4 crews going for 3 places. South Africa, again, looking very nice out at the front of the field. Just that little bit more time to go round the turn and get themselves back up towards the catch. They sit in first place. It's then second place back with Austria. They've managed to pull back on Ukraine, who will take third over the line. And then fourth, well, too close for me to call between Lithuania and Germany. We'll have to wait for the results, but ultimately, that fourth place fight between fourth and fifth does not matter because those crews will be going home in the elimination. And then in sixth place, Russia come across the line, clear water back. But another fantastic race in that semi-final for the men's 4. Yeah. Oh, men's singles. Oh, yeah, I've got the wrong. We're now up at 600 metres with the first of our semi-finals in the men's single, the highest entered event here at this final Olympic qualification regatta, and even to get through to the semi-finals, quite a tough ask. In this first race, Spain in 1, Cyprus in 2, Russia in 3, Belarus in 4, Bulgaria in 5 and Slovenia in 6.
And it's Alexander Vyazovskin who was the fastest boat on in the first 500 meters, and on second place it's Filip Pavuku from Belarus who was doing the first 500 meters in 1:42, and the third boat was Spain.
Yeah, we're approaching 800 metres now, and it's still the Russian Alexander Vyazovskin who sits in the centre of the lake. He's come back from a fairly a fairly midway finish at the European Championships back in Poznan, a 12th place for him there, so doing extremely well to be leading the likes of Filip Pavuku, who absolutely dominated his heat. He was not fussed at all and sculled through a rating in the 20s over the line, so he's nice and fresh, the Belarusian, but he sits now 20 metres back on the Russian that leads this race. The race for third, well, looking down at the rest of the field, I think it's still the Bulgarian Christian Vasilev that sits in third, but as we know, and as you'll know from racing in the single, Michael, things change so quickly, especially in that third 500 of the race.
Yeah, and the second 1,000, everything can happen in the single, and we know on the Roadsee there were some incredible races the last few years, and I think all of us know the strong finish of Olaf Tufte 2006 where he caught up about 3 lengths on my Drysdale, and so we know nobody's safe here, but it's still the Russian guy who's leading the race in front of Belarus and Bulgaria.
Yeah, these leading 3 crews actually with quite a bit of clear water ahead of Cyprus that sits in 4th, the nearest challenger that could attempt perhaps to get into that A final. But the Russian unfazed at the moment from the yellow card that he actually received at the start line. Alexander Vyazovskin just still keeping it nice and low, rating 32 strokes a minute. He seems very relaxed. His boat speed still the fastest on the water, alongside Filip Pavuku, who has also decided to just bring it down a couple of notches. He's at 31 strokes a minute now, coming up towards 500 metres to go. In third, still the Bulgarian Christian Vasilev ahead of Cyprus's Alexandros Zisimadis.
Wir nähern uns langsam den letzten 500 Metern im ersten Halbfinale des Männer-Einers. Und es ist das Boot aus Russland, Alexander Wiatzowskin, welcher das Rennen anführt, gefolgt vom Boot aus Weißrussland, Filip Pavoukou und dem Bulgaren Christian Vasilev. Filip Pavoukou hat schon eine Medaille hier auf dem Rotsee gewonnen, nämlich an der Europameisterschaft 2019 wurde er Dritter und es sieht auch gut aus für ihn. Dieses Mal, er ist immer noch auf Rang 2 und die Boote nähern sich langsam den letzten 250 Metern.
Yeah, they're through the 500 metres to go mark now, and through 1500 it was still Vizovkin of Russia that took the kudos there for first position. Just still very, it's just still quite a big margin back to the trailing three crews in this race. So our leaders, Russia, Bulgaria, Belarus and Bulgaria, really simply unchallenged, to be quite honest. I don't think there's going to be any change in this lineup. There must be at least 4 lengths of clear water we can see from the tower now back to the Cypriot that sits in 4th position. But yeah, all quite sedate here coming into the Red Boys.
Yeah, I think that's the correct expression. They are all saving a bit energy for the final, and we are sure that the final will be really close. As in the second semi, there are also some really strong names, but we will hear them shortly after this finish.
Yeah, big surge back actually for the Spaniards. I must mention who's moved up into 4th position, Jordi Jofre Esenciales in lane number 1. He has quite a distinct style of racing to 1500 metres and slipping back through the field, but it'll be a 4th place finish for him. He didn't quite get up into that leading mix. So 3 qualifiers there will be Alexander Vizovkin of Russia ahead of Christian Vasilev of Bulgaria, Filip Pavoukou, our 3rd qualifier through. It's then Spain ahead of Slovenia. Apologies, Spain ahead of Cyprus, ahead of Slovenia in 6th. Oh, is it? Is it not Belarusians? We're almost at halfway with the second of the semi-finals for the men's single sculls. In lane 1, Austria. In lane 2, Ireland. In lane 3, Poland. In lane 4, Canada. In lane 5, Romania. And in lane 6, Chile. Another 3 to find through to the final here. And perhaps actually I'd argue the more challenging semi-final to be in here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. And it's here Nathan Vigrichki-Shimchik who is leading the race 2 seconds in front of the boat from Canada. Trevor Jones, and in 3rd it's the Romanian Sculler, and 4th Dare Lynch from Ireland, 5th the Chilean Sculler, and in 6th it's at the moment Lucas Reim from Austria.
Yeah, a lot of really great emerging talent here in this single sculls semi-final, and I think we didn't see the full hand of Natan Vigrichki-Shimchik of Poland in the heat. He took his foot off the gas around halfway, but now with a little bit more challenge with the fastest qualifier in the lane next to him, Trevor Jones, who in the heats really inspired a lot of us. A very fast-looking single scull out there for Canada in that heat, but he's now just over a length back on Vigrichki-Shimchik of Poland in 2nd place. It's then a real tussle for 3rd, and this might be another one of those nail-biting finishes between Dare Lynch of Ireland and Mihai Ceruta of Romania. And as they come through towards 500 metres to go, barely anything to choose between them. I'd say half a canvas, if that, with the Romanian just at the moment taking the edge over Lynch of Ireland.
But as we all know, all the Irish crews, they can sprint, and if it really counts, they are performing. So I wouldn't count it off. Wir nähern uns langsam der 500-Meter-Marke im zweiten Halbfinale des Männer-Einers. Und es ist das Boot von Polen, Nathan Wiegrzycki-Szymczyk, welcher das Rennen anführt, gefolgt von Trevor Jones aus Kanada und jetzt der Lynch aus Irland, welcher im Moment auf dem 3. Rang rudert. Auf Rang 4 dann Rumänien, Rang 5 Chile und im letzten Platz rudert momentan Lukas Reim aus Österreich.
It's certainly been Poland in the driving seat throughout the first 3 quarters of this race, and I would be very surprised if anyone at all decides to mount a challenge on Wiegrzycki-Szymczyk at this point, although it does look as if Jones of Canada is trying to do that. He's up at 40 strokes a minute now as we come into the final 250 metres. He really wants to get that mental advantage over the very fast Polish sculler, but he's closing down a little bit, but he's got the fastest boat speed on the water, but it's not enough to eat into this lead that Nathan has managed to accumulate over the course of the Rotze's fine waters. But as we approach the line, Nathan Wiegrzycki-Szymczyk still in the lead, but this fight for third behind Wiegrzycki-Szymczyk and Trevor Jones is really quite a nail-biter, as we predicted. It's Chiruta as it stands at the moment, but Dare Lynch closing fast. It's only 1 metre to separate these two. I see Chiruta look across the lake to his right. He can see Dare Lynch now up at 42 strokes a minute. It's barely half a canvas between them at the moment. Chiruta just shortening up to try and clinch that third and final spot through to the A final. Nobody phasing Nathan Wiegrzycki-Szymczyk. It's then Canada over the line. I think then Chiruta of Romania but it was such a quick finish there for Dare Lynch of Ireland. We'll wait for the confirmed results to come up on our screens. Miles of clear water now. Back to the Chilean and the Austrian Lucas Reim at the back of this field, but all the action there, Michael, was right up at the front, right?
Yeah, they really could close up to the leading 2 rowers, and it's indeed the Romanian Mihai Chiruta who finished third, and unfortunately for Ireland, Dare Lynch wasn't able to qualify for the final, as well as Chile and Austria.
Yeah, such a devastating finish there, especially in single sculls, right? Like, you win by yourself, you lose by yourself, and to be eliminated and your dreams dashed for an Olympic Games, really quite tough to face here at this final Olympic qualification regatta. Both a regatta of opportunity, but also a regatta of disappointment, hey? So on to the next. Again, we're bringing you all the action here, cramming in all of our races into this morning, just to avoid any adverse weather that's coming in from this afternoon. In lane 1, Greece. In lane 2, Denmark. In lane 3, Ireland. In lane 4, the USA. In lane 5, China. And in lane 6, Brazil, here for the first of the lightweight women's double scull semi-finals.
And it's the US boat who is leading the race at the 1,000-meter mark with about 2 seconds in front of Ireland and the Chinese boat in third.
Yeah, this has been a great combination for the US. Again, one of these crews that came into this regatta a little bit blind, actually, having not raced at any of the international competitions since the Worlds back in 2019 in Linz. Molly Reckford for the USA sits in the bow seat, the lady from Dartmouth College, USA, just trying to make sure that they've got the measure of the crews either side of them that are pretty well experienced themselves, to be quite honest. In the bow seat for China, who are just trying to push in with Ireland into those top 2 spaces. Pandan Dan, the 2-time world bronze medalist in this category, certainly will be looking to try and qualify this boat for Tokyo. But they're going to have to get through Ireland first, who sit in second place. This double of Margaret Crammon and Aoife Casey, winners of the first heat in yesterday's lightweight doubles, but 5 seconds slower than the US on time. So perhaps unsurprising to see see them at the moment trailing from the leading crew.
In fourth place at the moment, it's the boat from Denmark. And in fifth, the boat from Greece. They are both a bit back, and I don't think they can come back to the three leading boats from the US, Ireland, and China. What do you think, Camilla?
Yeah, I think maybe perhaps just a little bit too much clear water back there for the Greeks especially. I mean, the Danes, an experienced combination of Matilda Persson and Marie Morch Pedersen in lane number 2. But as it stands right now, leading three crews are fairly clear of the rest of the pack. It's still the USA through 1,500 metres, 5:28.27 for them, just ahead of Ireland, who sits 3 seconds back. It's then still breathing down their necks China that sit in third place, and these three crews sat in the middle of the lake, creating that really nice arrowhead towards us here in the finish tower and towards the line, challenging for that third spot. Well, the closest person to them still Denmark, but still a fair gap back, and I think it would have to be a fairly reckless last 500 metres for any of these leading crews for them to lose their qualifying spot, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. I think they just do now what is necessary to be in the final, but they don't want to spend any energy because the final will be really tough. And at the moment, it's still the boat from the US who is leading the race, and they were winning the US trials quite impressively, and also beating there some really good lightweight rowers. For example, Emily Schmieg, she was second at the World Championship 2018, and she wasn't able to qualify her double for this Olympic qualification regatta. So we are on the last 100 meters.
Yeah, into the last 100 metres and looking, well, extremely calm here for a lightweight double, down at 35 strokes a minute for the US. They're a length up on Ireland, who, again, looking slightly more sort of chilled out than the rest of the field. China will take third ahead of Denmark, that never really got into that race for the top three spots ahead of Greece. Is then the Brazilian crew in lane number 6 that will wrap up this semi-final. From one on to the next now here at the final Olympic qualification regatta. We've got the second of those semi-finals for the lightweight women's double sculls. In lane 1, we've got South Africa. In lane 2, Australia. In lane 3, Switzerland. In lane 4, Poland. In lane 5, Spain. And in lane 6, Germany. And I certainly would not want to be in this semi-final, Michael.
Yeah, that's a really tough semi-final with Poland, Switzerland, Australia, South Africa, and at the moment it's the boat from Poland who is leading the race. They're rating about 35 strokes a minute, and they are almost 12 meters in front of the boat from Switzerland, and in third place Australia. Wir sind nun bei der 1000-Meter-Marke im zweiten Halbfinale des Frauen-Leichtgewichts-Doppelzweiers. Und es ist das Boot aus Polen, welche die Nase als erstes über die 1000-Meter-Marke geschoben hat, gefolgt vom Boot aus der Schweiz. Frederik Roll und Patricia Merz sind momentan auf zweiter Position, und auf der dritten Position Australien, 1 Sekunde zurück, und vierter Südafrika. But as we all know, the last 1000 meters are the important ones, and it's still not decided yet who will be in the final.
Yeah, I think the only boat perhaps out of contention in this race are the Spanish, actually. Every other crew on the water is within a length and a half, 2 lengths of our leaders. And I think the Polish will really need to watch out. The experience of Weronika Deresz in the bow seat for Poland is going to have to keep her stroke woman Jacqueline Nicole Stalmajic working extremely hard, because on either side of them they've got Switzerland closing in. Frederik Roll and Patricia Murch, the home favourites here, and the winners of a tough heat yesterday, but they're right on the heels of the Polish. It's then, well, quite tough, but the Aussies that sit in third, Georgia Nesbitt and Sarah Pound, trying to make the most of their trip over to Europe to qualify this boat for Tokyo, and they're doing a very good job of staying ahead currently of South Africa that sit in fourth alongside Germany in fifth. And wow, wouldn't that be a turnout for the books if the German crew didn't make it into the final tomorrow, with the experience of someone like Marie-Louise Draeger in the bow seat, the lightweight single sculls world champion from just 2 years ago. This is all tightening up, and as you said, Michael, still, well, 600 metres of this race left to row. I'm sure we'll see a tight one.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, Marie-Louise Draeger, she was 3 times at the Olympic Games, in the 2 times in the double and 1 time in the heavy single. And it would be the first time, so for many years, that Marie-Louise Draeger wouldn't be at the Olympics. But at the moment, she is not in the 3 qualifying spot. Wir nähern uns langsam dem Ziel, und es ist immer noch das Boot aus Polen, welches das Rennen anführt, gefolgt von den Schweizerinnen auf dem 2. Rang und auf Rang 3 Australien. Und etwa 3 Sekunden zurück kommen dann die Südafrikanerinnen und das Boot aus Deutschland. Aber ich denke, gerade die Südafrikanerinnen, die haben jetzt ihre Schlagzahl erhöht und auch ihre Geschwindigkeit. Sie möchten alles daran setzen, wieder an die 3 führenden Boote heranzukommen. It's a boat from South Africa who are charging now and trying to get in the 3 qualifying spot for the final.
Yeah, but the Swiss crowd are going to love this. They're really trying to chase down Poland to claim top spot through to the semi-final. I think they're safely in a qualifying position, but it's just where they finish. Poland still trying to hold strong up at 36 strokes a minute, but they're matched in speed. No, in fact, the Swiss picking up their boat speed once more. They're now the fastest moving boat on the course, and they're closing down that gap now. It looks fairly relaxed as they come through to the Red Boys, but my word, I'm sure they'll be working hard as they come into the final 50 metres. The Swiss really want the win in front of the small home crowd that they've got here with the organising committee and those on the bank, and I think they're going to break through. Poland just doing enough to keep themselves in second place. I don't think they want to rise to the challenge. They're deciding to save their energy for this afternoon's finals. Switzerland will take the win in this semi-final, the second semi-final of the lightweight women's double sculls ahead of Poland. That race for third, wow, it's the Australians that continue over the line in third ahead of Germany, and that really was a turnout for the books, like we said, for the Germans to miss out. They managed to beat South Africa back into fifth, and Spain finishing in sixth, where they were the entirety of the way down the course. But yeah, that was as good as I think it looked on paper, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. The Swiss had an unbelievable performance. They finished first and are now in the center lane for the final later this morning.
Yeah, that'll be nice for the home fans to see Switzerland in a centre lane for this afternoon's finals. But we can't wait. We can't wait for that one. But as we move now on to the first of our AB semi-finals in the lightweight men's double sculls that are already through the 1,000 metres. So to give you quickly, Russia in 1, Switzerland in 2, France in 3, the Czech Republic in 4, Denmark in 5, and Great Britain in 6. And at the moment, it's the Czech Republic leading the way.
Yeah, and the boat from Switzerland again is in the second place, and France in the third place, about 1 second in front of Denmark. So it's still pretty close among the boats from France, Czech Republic, Switzerland and Denmark. Wir sind nun bei der 1000-Meter-Marke vorbei, und es sieht ganz gut aus für das Boot aus der Schweiz. Jan Schäuble und Andri Struzina sind momentan auf dem 2. Rang, etwa 8 Meter hinter dem führenden tschechischen Duo und etwa 3 Meter vor dem Boot aus Frankreich.
Yeah, can the Swiss do it again here, Michael? Because they're currently sat, second place for now, but the French really trying to snatch that off them as we come towards 500 metres to go. The French just a couple of metres back now in third. Also danger coming from the Danish, another crew with lots of pedigree in this lightweight men's double event. Emil Espensen and Oscar Pettersson in lane number 5, I'm sure ones to watch out for in the sprint, but our top 3 at the moment, still the Czech Republic, Miroslav Vrščil and Yuri Simonek in lane number 4, up at rate 37. They're the fastest moving boat on the course still at this point, but France and Switzerland trying to tussle for second and third ahead of Denmark. 500 metres to go, still that order, the Czech Republic ahead of Switzerland in second, Schäuble and Strutziner ahead of the French, brand new combination, and surprising, as we said yesterday, to see Pierre Huon miss out of this selection to try and qualify this boat for Tokyo. Could this be France's answer to that spot later on this year? But as we now approach the final sprinting stages, I think Switzerland are just going to have the edge here on the Rotse. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's looking good for the Swiss again. They are still in the second place. Behind Czech and the boat from France. Es sieht ganz gut aus für die Schweizer. Sie sind wieder auf dem zweiten Rang vor dem Boot aus Frankreich und dem Boot aus Tschechien. Momentan haben die 3 Boote einen guten Vorsprung von circa 2 Sekunden auf die 3 Booten zurück, auf Dänemark, Großbritannien und Russland.
Last chance now for the Danish to galvanise. They're in 4th position, but at 41 strokes a minute. They know that where they are right now is not good enough. They've got 6 metres to try and close down on Switzerland, to close down on France, who sit ahead of them. They control that third space, and I think they know that they just need to do enough to save energy for this afternoon as they try and fend off this charge from Denmark. 43 strokes a minute now on the far side of the lake, but it's not going to be enough. They've left it too late. The race for second is on behind the Czech Republic, who crossed the line in first. France will take the honours in second place ahead of Switzerland, who will have to settle for third, but that is good enough to get them through to this morning's A final. It's then going to be Denmark ahead of Great Britain, and then the final slot, Russia will round off that semi-final in the lightweight men's double sculls. Yeah, they really did. It was much closer than it looked on this, wasn't it? The last one. Yeah. We're on to the last semi-final of the morning now. So this is the last chance to secure places in the A-final in the lightweight men's double sculls. In lane 1, Japan. In lane 2, Brazil. In lane 3, Australia. In lane 4, Canada. In lane 5, China. And in lane 6, Austria.
And it's a boat from China who are leading at the moment the race. Oh, no. Now it's the boat from Canada who are leading the race in front of China and Australia in third. But there is not much between Australia and Austria, who are now in fourth place. Paul Sieber und Julian Schöberl sind momentan auf der 4. Position rudern, aber so wie wir sie kennen, das ist noch nicht entschieden. Sie haben einen sehr starken Endspurt und sie geben niemals auf. Wir sind also gespannt, wie sich das Rennen auf den zweiten 1000 Metern entwickeln wird. Es ist immer noch das Boot von Kanada, welches das Rennen anführt, gefolgt vom Boot aus China und auf Rang 3 Australien.
We're through the 1,000 metres now in this last semi-final of the day, the lightweight men's double sculls. Still Canada's pairing of Max Latimer and Patrick Keane that take charge of this race. They're managing now to just push a little bit more water back towards China. China at 35 strokes a minute. Sun Man and Fan Junji just sit alongside the Canadians. They've still got overlap sitting in second place, but I think the race that's going on behind them might close the field somewhat in this third 500, because as it stands, we've got a couple of crews here vying for that third position, and I think the more sort of pressure now coming from the Australians, who also sit in the centre of this lake in lane number 3. This new combination of Hamish Parry and Sean Murphy, sent by the Australians again to try and notch another boat into Tokyo for the team, and certainly it seems to be going well as it stands at the moment. They've come through the Austrians to take that third and final place as we come into 500 metres to go.
Momentan sieht es so nicht so gut aus für das Boot aus Österreich. Paul Sieber und Julian Schöberl sind immer noch auf dem 4. Rang und haben etwas Zeit verloren auf das Boot aus Australien. Sie sind jetzt nur 4 Sekunden zurück für einen Qualifikationsplatz für das A-Finale. Was natürlich etwas eine Enttäuschung ist. Gerade Paul Sieber, ein sehr erfahrener Ruderer, hat in Rio teilgenommen im Leichtgewichtsdoppelzweier und wurde 12. und hat auch Erfahrung an der Olympia-Qualifikationsregatta vor 9 Jahren, war schon einmal im Finale, aber konnte sich damals nicht qualifizieren für die Olympischen Spiele in London. We are now approaching the last 250 meters of the race, and it's still the boat from Canada who is leading the race in front of the boat from China and Australia.
Yeah, a shame for the Austrians. They're doing everything they can up at rate 42. This combination of Sieber and Schöberl got the first medal for Austria at a World Cup since 1996 in this boat category, just a few weeks ago in Zagreb, but not good enough to put them in the pace for these qualifying positions. They've just had a little bit of a crab, actually, that they've caught on one of the buoys, just further pushing them back now more solidly into 4th position. Such a shame there for that combination, but coming into the line, it's very well clear cut here for the 3 leading crews. It's going to be Canada 1 length ahead of China. It's then clear water back, probably half a length of clear water back to Australia, that will make it through to the final, the last boat to do so here at this regatta. Austria there in 4th, such a shame for them, and ahead of Japan. Again, another crew that this will be a huge disappointment for after doing so well at the Asian Qualification Regatta, but they will be eliminated from the regatta here in Lucerne, and then it's Brazil that will be our last semi-finalist crew to be eliminated here in Lucerne. Got a 15-minute break now. So that was our final semi-final of the morning, and we're moving now on to the finals. This will be where we determine who gets those places to qualify for the Olympic Games taking place in July later this year in Tokyo. Just 2 places up for grabs in the majority of our events here this morning. The only exception to that being the lightweight women's double sculls, where 3 places will be on offer to that event. We're starting off in just 7 minutes' time with the final of the women's pair.
Wir beginnen in 7 Minuten mit den Finals der Olympischen Qualifikationsregatta hier auf dem Rotsee in Luzern. Und es ist der Frauen-Zweierone, welcher beginnt. Um 10:10 Uhr ist der Start dieses Rennens. Und dann wird sich entscheiden, welche Crew dieser 6 Booten das Ticket holt für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio.
We can see boats on the start line now for the first final of today's final Olympic qualification regatta here on the Rotsee in Lucerne. In lane 1, we've got the Netherlands, represented by Jose Agnes van Veen and Yves Stewart. In lane 2, Chile, the Abraham twins, Antonia and Melita Abraham. In lane 3, we've got Russia, Elena Obrazinskaya and Vasilila Stepanova. In lane 4, we've got Denmark, Fie Ubi Eriksson and Hedvig Rasmussen. In lane 5, we've got Croatia, the Jurkovic twins, Josipa and Ivana Jurkovic. And in lane 6, we've got the Czech Republic, Pavlina Flamikova and Anna Sanchakova.
And the race is now underway, and it's the boat from Russia who is leading the race. They had a really strong start, and they are now about half a length already in front of the field, followed by the boat from Chile, and also the Danes are still within contention.
Yeah, it's early days, and we were just saying how nerve-wracking it must be, these final moments before the start line, when you've got an Olympic place on the line. The first time we've been able to say that this weekend, and these women's pairs taking every moment in their stride. But it is indeed the Russian combination, winners of their heat yesterday, that are taking this by the reins, and they're now up at 38 strokes a minute, piercing through the field ahead of Chile, that currently sit in second place, but only just. It's then a real bun fight between the Croatians and the Danes, but I wouldn't write that Danish pairing off just yet, Michael.
No, the Danish pair is a very experienced pair, and also they have some experience at the Olympic qualification regatta, as Fie Udby Eriksson was racing here in 2012 when she finished second, and then afterwards finished second again at the Olympics in London. So she knows how to race an Olympic qualification regatta and also how to win medals at the Olympics. But it's still the boat from Russia who is leading the race, and on second place it's the boat from Chile.
Yeah, this Russian combination out of the successful Russian 8 just a few weeks ago at the Europeans. They've come together in this pairing in order to try and qualify yet another boat for Russia for the Olympic Games. They've had a great regatta so far. Quite a few opportunities here, I think, for the Russians to get more boats into Tokyo, but they're going to face stiff competition, as all of our A-final contestants will do, because closing in around them, the race between Chile, Denmark and Croatia just starting to get even closer than it was before. I think as it stands, it's equal second footing here for the Danes, as alongside Chile. The Abraham twins sisters were the closest challengers on time when it came to transitioning into this final. They were only a length behind Russia in the heat, and so I think they will be close contentions for the Danes, but I think Denmark have realised that now, coming into 1,000 metres. Eriksson and Rasmussen now starting just to tighten the screw a little bit on Russia. They're closing in 1 more metre now that they've managed to gain through that second 500, and they sit half a length back now on the Russians in the lead.
Wir nähern uns langsam der 1000-Meter-Marke im Frauen-Zweier ohne, und es ist immer noch das Boot von Russland, welches das Rennen anführt, gefolgt vom Boot aus Dänemark, welche nun das Boot aus Chile überholen konnten und nun sogar Druck machen auf das Boot von Russland. So ist es auch.
So through the 1,000-meter marker, still Russia, but less than a second back now. Oh, sorry, a second or so now back to Denmark, who continue to put pressure on. They're underrating the Russians by a couple of pips. 34 strokes a minute from Fie-Ub Eriksson in the stroke seat. She certainly knows how to keep her calm, the Olympic silver medalist, and she's keeping that boat speed up higher than the Russians now. It's very important for them to shake off the challenge from Chile as well. Only 2 spaces through to Tokyo. This is where it all counts. This is the last opportunity they have, and the last race they will have probably in order to secure their spot. And so in order to break that clear water back to Chile, they're going to really need to put in a hard push again through this third 500 metres.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good at the moment for the boat from Chile, as Russia and Denmark have the higher boat speed, and it would be devastating for Chile, as they also already finished 12th at the World Rowing Championship in Links and just missed out for the qualification spot for Tokyo, and now again they are in the third place, and that's not a qualification spot.
Yeah, we spent a lot of this morning talking about 3 spots through to the final, and we're just going to have to change that now because it's just 2 places. There's even more pressure, but it makes it even more exciting to watch. And as we come now through to the final 500 metres, you can just see how close it is now between Denmark and Russia. And Denmark have gone again. They're up at 35 strokes a minute, and they're closing in hard now on the Russians. They really want the win in this race. They don't just want to qualify. They want to prove that they're the fastest women's pair at this regatta, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. The Denmark is charging really, really hard, and I think with every stroke they are taking a few centimeters on the boat from Russia, but Russia responded. They are now on 38 strokes a minute, and also behind the Chilean pair is also going up on 39 strokes a minute, and they're trying everything, but I think this charge is coming a bit too late. Russia and Denmark are still in the lead with about 20 meters on Chile.
Yeah, Vasilisa Stepanova in the bow seat for Russia has just called it up once again. They're at 39 strokes a minute now. They saw the impending doom coming from Denmark, and they really wanted to take the win. They're up at rate 40 now as they come into the closing stages. Both of these crews now with 2 lengths of clear water over early challengers Chile, but I think we found our 2 slots through to Tokyo, and I think the names firmly stamped from Russia and Denmark. The Russians will just have to continue to work hard until the line if they want to say that they won the final Olympic qualification regatta. Denmark still putting out the watts as they come through the line, and it's going to be with 5 strokes to go. Russia, that are our first qualifiers through to the Tokyo Games in the women's pair, ahead of Denmark, that are delighted with their finish. Another Olympic Games for Fie-Ub Eriksson in the stroke seat there for Denmark. Chile over the line in 3rd ahead of Croatia. It's then the Czech Republic and the new combination from the Netherlands that will roll through the line in 6th. Wow.
Die ersten Olympia-Qualifikationsplätze sind vergeben und es sind Russland und Dänemark, welche sich qualifiziert haben. In einer Zeit von 7:18 sind beide über den Rotsee gefahren, und auf dem dritten Rang ist es Chile, welche sich eingereiht haben. Etwas enttäuschend, ähnlich wie bei den Weltmeisterschaften 2019 haben sie den Platz knapp verpasst. Auf Rang 4 ist es Kroatien, Rang 5 die Tschechische Republik und am Schluss des Feldes die Niederlande.
Well, that was certainly very exciting to see our first two qualifiers for the Tokyo Olympic Games in Russia and Denmark. But we've got to find some more. And so we're on to the next race here for the women's double sculls. In lane 1, we've got Hungary. In lane 2, Great Britain. In lane 3, Russia. In lane 4, Germany. And in lane 5, Nigeria.
Wir sind schon beim zweiten Rennen des Tages, beim zweiten A-Finale des Tages, muss ich sagen. Und es sind die Boote Ungarn, Großbritannien, Russland, Deutschland und Nigeria, welche sich hier an der Startlinie aufgereiht haben und bereit sind für den Kampf um die letzten Quotenplätze für Tokio 2020.
So we're underway now with the women's double sculls event, and as we fire off the start, 4 clear leaders in this race. Unfortunately, Nigeria just off the pace through the opening stages, and emerging as our leaders in this very, very early part of the race. Well, it's the Russians again. Could we see yet another Russian crew qualifying? We did say that their chances look good. The 2 Ekaterinas now, Kurochkina and Piritrimova in the Russian crew, now leading the way, 38 strokes a minute. Looking back at Germany in second, the Great Britain in third, and it's Hungary at the moment that's sitting fourth, just a short distance away.
But it's still everything pretty close, especially between Great Britain and Germany. And also Russia is now also that Germany overtook the Russian boat, but it's unbelievable close among these 3 boats: Germany, Russia and Great Britain.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly tight. It was really tight in the preliminary race that we had for these 5 crews yesterday. They didn't have to qualify through a heat, but they did have to do a race for times. And in that race, it was Great Britain followed by Germany behind the Russians. And so I think the Germans, probably with a little bit of motivation, knowing that they needed to be in the top 2 in order to qualify. And as we go through 500 metres, it's the Germans that clinch that top spot, that all-important first place through 500 metres just to rattle the competition. But I think the Russians, well, they're only a bow ball or so behind. They continue to keep switching places. I think perhaps just luck of the surge there that the Germans got the first 500 under their belts in first place. Great Britain back with a quarter of a length behind these 2 leading crews, but we know that the British combination of Budget and Nixon have a fantastic middle thousand. It's what put them ahead of the Germans in yesterday's preliminary heat, and it's also what gave them that bronze medal at the European Championships just a few weeks ago.
Wir nähern uns langsam der 1000-Meter-Marke im Frauen-Doppelzweier und es ist immer noch sehr eng zwischen Russland, Deutschland und Großbritannien. Im deutschen Boot ist Anna-Kathrin Thiele eine sehr erfolgreiche und erfahrene Ruderin, hat sich 2012 an den Olympischen Spielen schon eine Silbermedaille verdient und 2016 sogar gewonnen im Frauendoppelvierer. Nachdem sie nun ein paar Jahre im Einer unterwegs war, ist sie wieder ins Mannschaftsboot umgestiegen und momentan sieht es ganz gut aus, dass sie sich ihre 3. Olympischen Spiele verdienen kann, und zwar jetzt im Doppelzweier.
Yeah, the Olympic champion in the German crew sitting in the bow seat, Anna-Kathrin Thiele. We've seen her race the single so far since the last Olympics, but she's moved into the double scull now to pair with Leonie Menzel in the stroke seat, and they've lost that lead again, approaching the 1,000 metres. Russia clinching it back off them. Kurochkina in the stroke seat, keeping that a punishing 35, 36 strokes a minute just to try and keep their boat ahead. But but the British just slipping back somewhat now. They are going to need to produce that remarkable third 500 that we've seen so many times from them since this combination started. But I think just slipping back, their boat speed not quite as quick as our leading pairing.
Yeah, I think the British crew, they have to do something now. There are only 800 meters to go and they are still in third, which means they cannot qualify for the Olympics. The stroke woman Saskia Budget has to raise the stroke rate and to increase speed in order to catch the other two boats. She's actually the daughter of Richard Budget, right? Olympic champion 1984 in the Coxed 4.
Yeah, she is. Rowing runs in the family for the Budgets, and I know certainly Martin Cross will be keeping a tight eye on her on the video commentary because he actually won gold with Richard Budget in said 4. So lots of rowing pedigree in that family, but they are currently slipping back, Great Britain. They're just not quite able to find that speed through that third 500, and it's allowed the Russian-German fight at the front of the field to continue to develop. It's still so close between these two crews, and I think if Germany decide to go that little bit earlier, that little bit of bravery from them could see them clinch out the top spot in this regatta.
Yeah, Germany is now the fastest boat on the course and they are trying to win this regatta. Es sieht ganz gut aus für die Deutschen. Sie sind momentan das schnellste Boot auf dem Rotsee und sie machen mächtig Druck auf die führenden Russinnen. Es sind noch etwa 400 Meter bis ins Ziel und es ist unglaublich eng zwischen Russland und Deutschland.
Korochkina and Petromova of Russia now have lost the lead to the German combination of Menzel and Thiele. They've broken through that bow ball to take the lead. Not for the first time in this race, as we say. They managed to nab it to 500 metres, but it has been predominantly Russian bow balls that have been in front in this women's double sculls event. But as we come into 200 metres to go, I think the British are the only crew that could contend for these top two spaces, and there's just too much clear water for them to catch up. I think the Germans have really stepped on since the Europeans, since their heat yesterday, and have put together a race plan that have allowed them not just to overhaul the British, but to overhaul the Russians as well, which is such a huge step on for this combination, and really impressive stuff here for Germany.
But there is still no decision made yet. It's still Russia and Germany who are leading this race, but there is nothing beside those two boats.
Yeah, I must learn never to speak too soon, because I just saw the lift there of the bows of the Russian crew as they glided through this glassy water here on the Rotsee, and they're going to finish now with half a length ahead of Germany for those two places through to the Tokyo Olympic Games. And a huge celebration there in the German crew, a slightly more subdued one in the Russian crew, but they know that they have won one of the most important regattas in the world. And in third place, Great Britain, they'll be disappointed to miss out, having come second in the race for lanes in that preliminary race. And then Hungary will finish in fourth. We've still got the Nigerian crew in lane number 5 coming into 300 metres to go, and we'll wrap up this race with you as soon as possible.
Es ist das Boot aus Russland, welches als erster die Ziellinie überquert hat und sich für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio qualifiziert hat. Auf Rang 2 das deutsche Boot Anna-Kathrin Thiele und Leonie Menzel. Rang 3 geht an Großbritannien, Rang 4 an Ungarn und das 5. Boot ist jetzt auf den letzten 52 Metern Nigeria.
The victory ceremony for the women's pair.
Die Siegerehrung für den Frauen-Zweierrone.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Denmark. Denmark represented by
Dänemark vertreten durch
Hedvig Lerkeberg Rasmussen and Fie Udby Eriksen. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Russia. Russia represented by
Russland vertreten durch
Vasilisa Stepanova and Elena Oryabinskaya. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
Already off the start now with the women's 4 final. In lane number 1, Ukraine. In lane 2, China. In lane 3, Ireland. In lane 4, Italy. In lane 5, Russia. And in lane 6, the Czech Republic.
Wir sind nun unterwegs im Frauen-Vierrone. Es ist die Ukraine in Bahn 1, China in Bahn 2, Irland in Bahn 3, Italien Bahn 4, Russland Bahn 5 und die Tschechische Republik in Bahn 6.
So now another 2 places on the line. We've already seen the first 4 crews book their seats on the plane to Japan. And at the moment it is Ireland leading the way, this incredible combination that's come together from Ireland. Hegarty, Murta, Lamb and Kyo just really impressed us in yesterday's heats. They dominated on time, they dominated the field, and they're setting out here for the final chance to get this 4 on the start line at Tokyo with real rigour and real determination.
Yeah, they are doing a really good job, and they already won 2 medals at the European Championship this year and last year. And this year they were only half a second behind the Dutch 4. That was quite an impressive race.
Yeah, hugely impressive for this exciting Irish combination. I know that medal at the Europeans in Varese meant a lot to them, coming behind the Dutch, and being so close to them, it's going to put them in really good stead. As long as this boat crosses the line in the top 2 here today, I think they've got a really good chance at Tokyo. And we were just saying this morning, actually, Michael, about how many crews here at the regatta do go on to medal in events at the Olympic Games, right?
Yeah, I think over the last 25 years there were about 2 crews per Olympic Qualification Regatta who really won an Olympic medal at the Olympics. For example, Fie Udby Eriksen, who won the silver medal in London. But we are not yet at the Olympics. We are now approaching the 1,000-meter mark, and it's still Ireland who is leading the race. They also have the highest speed on the course, but it's still close with China in the second place, and third at the moment is the boat from Italy.
Yeah, perhaps surprising to see the Italians in third after they didn't have to contend the repechage. They won their heat yesterday in the opposing heat to Ireland, but China currently sat in that all-important second position. They had to come through yesterday's repechage, in which they looked very comfortable, very strong, a very confident performance there in yesterday's rep, and perhaps that extra race has just given them a slight advantage coming through this halfway point. Is then a little bit of a get back to a great race going on between Ukraine Ukraine and Russia, but that's not the race that's going to get you on the plane to Tokyo, unfortunately. Right at the front of the field now, it's clear water for the Irish combination. Emily Hegarty in the stroke seat. She's always put in a remarkable performance there, just leading Ireland. Some great performances. She's always very patient and ensuring that the Irish can keep to their race plan. And they push out even further now on Italy, who are overrating them by a couple of pips. 39 strokes a minute for the Italians, set by Aisha Rotchek in the stroke seat, the junior world champion, at the helm of that crew to try and chase down China, who still sit in second position.
Although Paul O'Donovan doesn't like it when we are speaking German, I just switch to German for the local volunteers and the athletes in the boat area. Wir nähern uns langsam der 1500 Meter Marke und es ist immer noch das Boot von Irland, welches das Rennen anführt und den Platz für die Olympischen Spiele im Moment auf sicher hat, gefolgt vom Boot auf China und im dritten Rang das Boot aus Italien.
Yeah, with almost 500 metres to go now and still clear water for the Irish combination. They've upped the rating ever so slightly, 38 strokes a minute now, coming into 500 metres to go. And this is an imperious performance by them. I certainly know that the Irish mums were tuning in yesterday, I saw on Twitter, so they will be extremely proud to see this fantastic performance going through 500 metres to go. It's a length now to Ireland ahead of China. Italy clambering up the stern of China, trying desperately as they might to get into that second place finish. But Wang Fei in the stroke seat for China now has got them at 36 strokes a minute, so long in comparison to the 41 that Rotchek in the stroke seat of the Italians is putting them through. That is really quite a charge. It's quite a frenzy for this Italian crew now to try in this final 400 metres now to cling on to their Olympic dreams.
It's still the boat from Ireland who is dominating this race. I almost would say they are now at rate 40 and they are approaching the 250 meters to go mark. And behind there is China in the second place and literally lost a bit touch to the Chinese boat.
Yeah, I think the Italians just tried to put the rating up that bit too high and it lost the boat speed. They were up at 42 strokes a minute and it's just not working for them, to be quite honest. They've slipped back on China. China have pushed on. They're only up at 38 strokes a minute. They've raised it by 2 pips, which is actually, fairly contained for the final 100 metres of a race. But this is going to be a sensational victory here for this Irish crew that has worked so hard over the last 12 months to get this boat in shape, ready for Tokyo. And look at the smiles on the faces there of that crew. What a fantastic performance for them. China will take the second spot. A little bit of a wave there from Chin Miao Miao in the bow seat. She knows that they're on their way to Japan. And then heartbreak for the Italians, who won that second heat yesterday, pushed out. Just goes to show you the only performance that counts is the one that happens here today.
Alle Boote haben jetzt die Ziellinie überquert und es ist das Boot aus Irland, welches sich als erstes für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio qualifiziert hat. Im zweiten Rang China, im dritten Rang Italien, 4 für Russland und am Schluss des Feldes, dann 5 Ukraine und am Schluss des Feldes die Tschechische Republik.
The victory ceremony for the women's double sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Frauen-Doppelzweier.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Germany! Germany represented by
Deutschland, vertreten durch
Anne-Kathrin Thiele and Leonie Menzel. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Russia! Russia represented by
Russland vertreten durch
Ekaterina Piterimova and Ekaterina Koroshkina. Let's hear it and applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
Well, we've got to find some more boats now to make their way through to the Olympic regatta, and we've got the women's single on the start line. In lane 1, we've got Eva Karppinen of Finland. In lane 2, Alexandra Förster of Germany. In lane 3, Tatsiana Klimovic of Belarus. In lane 4, Shiho Yonakawa of Japan. In lane 5, Aneta Kiridou of Greece. And in lane 6, Diana Dimchenko of Ukraine.
Wir sind nun im vierten Finale des Tages, Entschuldigung, und zwar beim Frauen-Einer. Wir haben Finnland, Deutschland, Weißrussland, Japan, Griechenland und die Ukraine am Start. Das Rennen ist eben gestartet. The race is now underway and it's the boat from Germany who is leading the race.
Yeah, fair start here from the young German Alexandra Förster, just 19 years of age in lane number 2. She's out the blocks at 39 strokes a minute, and this is exactly what she did in her heat yesterday. Got out, led from the front and just controlled the race, but I think she's going to face quite the challenge from a few experienced scullers around her, especially the likes of Aneta Kiridou. Shiho Yonakawa of Japan is really going to want to race at her home games here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. She had a really good heat yesterday where she won her heat against the German, about 3 seconds in front of Alexandra Förster. And at the moment, it's also Japan who is leading the race.
Yeah, Japan now starting to push through as we approach 400 metres gone. Shiho Yonakawa just wanting to establish a little bit of control here. The 24-year-old, coached by Ayako Yoshida, is just settling down now to 32 strokes a minute. She's not the fastest boat on the course, but she does have just over a length ahead of third place in the lane next to her, the Belarusian Tatsiana Klimovic, but sandwiched in between those two, it's still Förster of Germany.
Wir haben nun eben gerade die 500-Meter-Marke überquert und es ist das Boot aus Japan, welches das Rennen anführt, vor Alexandra Förster aus Deutschland. Die junge Deutsche macht momentan einen sehr guten Job und ist immer noch voll vorne dabei für das Ticket für Tokio. Sie hat ja Tokio-Erfahrung. 2019 hat sie die Junioren-Weltmeisterschaft in Tokio gewonnen und wurde danach auch Nachwuchssportlerin des Jahres in Deutschland gewählt.
Yeah, the young German Förster that's just challenging for the lead at the moment knows what it feels like to race on the Sea Forest Waterway. The junior world champion in the single sculls, so she knows how to control this small boat and make it do the work for her. And she is wrestling with the local from Japan. It's still Yonakawa just pressing for that lead. The bow balls change position with it, what seems like every single stroke, really. They're matching each other on speed. good. They're matching each other on rate. And as we come through 800 metres, this race out of the front is just too hot to handle for the Belarusian, who's just dropped back ever so slightly. Tatiana Klimovic out of the medals at the European Championships, but coming up from an outside lane, actually well spotted, Michael. Annetta Kiridou, the Greek. I mean, she's such an experienced athlete and certainly an exciting up-and-comer.
Yeah, definitely. And it's Kiridou from Greece who is now in the lead as we are approaching the 1,000-meter mark. In second place, it's still the boat from Japan. And third, Germany or Belarus. It's very, very close. It's hard to tell. But the boat from Finland is out of contention. Eva Karppinen, the daughter of the famous Petri Karppinen, is not able to hold the pace of the other boats.
Wow, this is absolutely unbelievable. We've gone through halfway with the bow balls in alignment from 4 of these single sculls, the lead changing every time we look away. It's now Annetta Kiridou of Greece, the under-23 world champion from Sarasota in the women's double scull. She's now moved into the single scull, and my word, isn't the 22-year-old such a powerful athlete? She's using that length that she's got just to try and move through this third quarter of the race, and she's putting the rest of the field behind her now. She just keeps stepping on. She's the fastest boat moving on the water. She's at 33 strokes a minute, and she's now opened up, well, over a length on Japan, who sits in the lane next to her in third place. But it's now Klimovic starting to claw through. She's managed to keep with this pack, keep that overlap, and it's allowed her to move into that all-important second position, Michael.
Yeah, what a performance of the Greece scholar and Tatiana Klimovic from Belarus. They are moving quite well as we are approaching the 1500 meter mark. Germany is falling a bit back, as well as Ukraine. Maybe a bit surprising. Diana Dimchenko won the bronze medal at the European Championship in 2018 and is also a 3 times coastal rowing champion, but is not able to hold pace on this really perfect flat water conditions here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see that our early leader in the race, Germany's Alexandra Foster, slipping back now. And I think just that race maturity that the other scullers perhaps have ahead of her at both under 23 and senior level, just starting to show now when the going gets tough. But Kiridou just looks emphatic. She's gone through 500 metres to go with open water ahead of Klimovic from Belarus. Belarus going to have to be careful because Yanakawa of Japan is going to have the bit between her teeth. She wants to be on that start line at a home game. She's got overlap on the sculler from Belarus, and Klimovic is going to have to watch out. She's got 3/4 of a length advantage in that hot seat in second position, the final spot through to the games. But I don't think anyone's going to come close to our race leader, Annetta Kiridou, who has just absolutely walked all over that middle 1,000 metres, Michael.
Unglaublich, was für eine Leistung Annetta Kiridou nun zeigt. Sie hat ihr Tempo verschärft auf den zweiten 1000 Metern und bewegt sich nun konstant weg von ihren Gegnerinnen. Auf dem zweiten Rang ist es im Moment das Boot von Weißrussland, welches sich eingereiht hat, aber nur etwa eine Länge vor der Japanerin. Ich bin sicher, sie wird alles daran setzen, dass sie an die Olympischen Spiele in ihr Heimatland reisen kann. Das deutsche Boot momentan auf 4. Position, knapp vor dem Boot aus Ukraine und ziemlich deutlich vor Finnland.
We're into the red buoys now, approaching the finish tower, and it's Kiridou that remains in first place position. An extremely decisive performance from her as she takes her final few strokes to book her place in Tokyo. But a real charge here coming from Dimchenko on the far side. It's not going to be enough to get her into this top pack, but over the line for Annetta Kiridou of Greece. It's then going to be Belarus's Tatiana Klimovic with the second spot got through to the Olympic Games. What a shame there for Shiho Yonakawa of Japan. She was there in second. So for so long of that race is then Jimchenko of Ukraine ahead of Finland's Karppinen in lane number 1, and a final dying few strokes here for Foster of Germany.
The victory ceremony for the women's 4.
Die Siegerehrung zum Frauen-Viererone.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
China! China represented by
China, vertreten durch
Xin Miao Miao, Lu Shiyu, Lin Xinyu, and Wang Fei. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta,
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Ireland! Ireland represented by
Irland, vertreten durch
Afrik Kior, Amir Lamb, Fiona Murtagh, and Emily Haggerty. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
Well, it's furiously fast today here, and we're already off the start with the women's quadruple sculls. In lane 1, Ukraine. In lane 2, Norway. In lane 3, Australia. And in lane 4, France.
Es geht unglaublich schnell heute an dieser olympischen Qualifikationsregatta. Wir sind schon im Doppelvierer der Frauen unterwegs, und zwar mit Ukraine, Norwegen, Australien und Frankreich am Start.
So into the first few hundred metres of this race, the French have gone off with real purpose. They have led the way next door to Australia, who have been trying to snatch the lead off them to go through 500 metres with the fastest time. But as we move further into this race, Ukraine still clinging on in third, and dropping back ever so slightly is Norway.
In this race, actually, the Swiss quad was also entered, and they had to withdraw as they had a positive coronavirus result. Also, the Romanian quad has to withdraw. Do you know why, Camilla?
I'm afraid I don't, but we are indeed, as you say, riding with less quads than we would have expected. It's so unfortunate for the home nation, for Switzerland, having to miss out. But of course, safety first in these coronavirus times. And as we go through 500 metres gone, it was indeed the Australian combination, Caitlin Cronin in the stroke seat, just ensuring that the bow balls stay out in front as they press on towards the line, vying for those top 2 spots. It's still France that are in second position. This French combination of Emma Lenati, Marie Jacquet, Margot Béot and Volane Aeronaut is fresh from the World Cup just a couple of weeks ago in Zagreb, and just looking to step on again after their Europeans performance was perhaps not where it wanted to be.
Wir nähern uns langsam der 1000-Meter-Marke im Rennen vom Frauen-Doppelvierer und es ist immer noch das Boot von Australien, welches das Rennen anführt. Etwa eine halbe Länge, etwas mehr vor dem Boot von Frankreich und etwas zurück die Boote von Norwegen und der Ukraine. Wie schon gesagt, es ist jammerschade, dass das Schweizer Boot hier nicht am Start ist. Das junge Boot mit Pascal Walker am Schlag. Leider hatten sie ein positives Corona-Testresultat und mussten abmelden. Aber wir sind sicher, wir werden noch einiges hören von dieser erfolgsversprechenden Crew, welches das Saisonziel nun auf die Weltmeisterschaft in Shanghai ausgerichtet hat. As we're approaching the 1000-meter mark, it's still Australia in the first place, followed by the boat from France, but not much between France and Norway.
Yeah, not much at all now between the French and Norwegian crews, and actually it was Norway that took second in the preliminary race. This was yet another event where we just had a preliminary race to determine a sort of lane order for this final event, so nobody had to qualify through heats and semi-finals and repêchages. They've only had one race, this set of athletes, and so the Australians looking to match that performance that they put in said preliminary race yesterday. They're up at 36 strokes a minute now. All the boat speeds actually fairly similar as we come into 1250 metres, and the French slipping back even further, just opening the door somewhat for the Norwegians that have just put the rating up now. 38 strokes a minute for Maya Emil Lund in the stroke seat, and 39 now as they come into 600 metres to go. The finish line is in sight, but this would be pretty exceptional to go this early, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but the Norwegian, they are trying everything and they are now on 39 strokes a minute and the fastest moving boat on the course. Can they close the gap to the French boat?
I think they can, and I think they will. Here come the Norwegians. They're matched now, bow ball for bow ball, as they come through 500 metres to go. And I think even the Norwegians could slip past the French through this timing marker, which would be a really great effort for them. With that place to Tokyo on the line, it can make people do some really exceptional things, and it can really muster the energy up and the motivation to be able to get that bit more speed. It really is different when there's so much on the line, and I'm sure the Norwegians will be very aware of that, Michael.
Yeah, and I think it would be the first time that Norwegian Federation would qualify a women's quad at the Olympics. I'm not sure about it, but I think it's astonishing how they are moving at the moment. But this France responded. They went now on to the 39 strokes a minute and are still level with the Norwegian boat. In front is still the boat from Australia. I think the bow woman, Ria Thompson, the under-23 world champion from 2019, is pretty happy with their performance. They have about 15 meters in front of France.
Wow, the Australians are going to be really happy that they travelled all of this way, because I think they're going to qualify this quad scull for the Olympic Games. But the French have found some more energy. They found a bit more boat speed from this challenge from Norway. It was the Norwegians that were really threatening them through 500 metres to go, but they found that boat speed. They're now overlapped with Australia. They're pushing away from the Norwegians, and it's going to be Australia, the first women's quad to qualify for the Tokyo Games from this final. It's then going to be France, who look ecstatic with that performance, even when under pressure. It's then the Norwegians. What a great race from them, but not quite enough. And Ukraine over in fourth.
Es ist das Boot von Australien, welches sich als erstes über Ziellinie geschoben hat, gefolgt von Frankreich auf dem 3. Rang, Norwegen und Rang 4 die Ukraine.
The victory ceremony for the women's single sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Frauen-Einer.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta representing Belarus.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta aus Weißrussland
Tatjana Klimovic. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta representing Greece.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta aus Griechenland.
Aneta Kiridou. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
We're on the start line now with the next of our events, the men's quad scull. In lane number 1, we've got France. In lane 2, Lithuania. In lane 3, Estonia. In lane 4, Russia. In lane 5, Romania. And in lane 6, Czech Republic.
Wir sind nun schon wieder im nächsten Rennen und zwar im Männer-Doppelvierer. Am Start stehen Frankreich, Litauen, Estland, Russland, Rumänien und die Tschechische Republik.
So the final few moments of preparation here for these crews on the start line, as we're about to decide after 2,000 metres which 2 men's quad sculls will be on the start line in Tokyo. What are you thinking at this point in this point in the race? You're on the start line. How would you be feeling sat here on the Rotse right now, Michael?
I think now with the final few seconds is all about concentrating again, having your maybe rituals and counting down the seconds, going to the starting point, and now the start is through.
Just about thinking about that first stroke off the start, and once that's underway, I wouldn't say it's easy from there, but it's certainly less nerve-wracking. And off the start now, a huge burst of energy coming from the centre of the course. It's the Russians with a very quick start, propelling their quadruple scull through the first 200 metres, up at 43 strokes a minute, beating out the perhaps favoured Estonians in this race, Michael.
Yeah, but not so surprising. The Russian crews are always starting quite fast, and sometimes they cannot hold really the pace. But it's now still the Russians. They are approaching the 500-meter mark in the first place. Second is quite close between the Estonian boat and Lithuania.
Yeah, this Russian crew out at the front of the field last raced as a full combination back at the European Championships in Poznan in 2020. And they did contest the World Championships in the season prior to that as well, back in Linz in 2019, where they finished in 11th place. So to qualify this boat at such a regatta would be a real mark in the sand against, well, a very strong Estonian crew. Bronze medalists at the most recent European Championships in Varese. They sit in second place at the moment, just ahead of another crew with lots of pedigree in this particular event, the Lithuanians, Michael.
Yeah, Lithuanians, 3 of those rowers won the gold medal at the World Rowing Championship in Sarasota back in 2017 and were placed third at the last year's European Championship. Actually, it's as you look at the lineup, it's quite surprising that is a final Olympic qualification regatta. It also could be a final at a World Cup from the nation names.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Michael. I would not expect to see, especially Estonia and Lithuania, such pedigree in this event, having to come through the final Olympic qualification regatta. It just goes to show you how strong the field is in the men's quad this season and this Olympiad. But as we come through 800 metres gone, it is still the Russians looking to replicate their fast time that they recorded in the heat. They were the first heat in yesterday's racing and almost 10 seconds quicker than the Estonians that followed in heat number 2, and they seem to be putting that marker down once again, but very close, separating Estonia and Lithuania, an age-old battle, some would say.
Yeah, and the Estonians are really experienced. Also at the final Olympic qualification regatta in 2012, they qualified their boat here on the Rothsee for the London Olympics, and they finished 4th at the Olympics back then. But now they are under pressure from the boat from Lithuania. They are still have a little bit of advantage, but I'm sure the Lithuanian quad will try to get back on this second spot.
Yeah, absolutely. The Estonians just opened out a little bit more again. They now sit a quarter of a length ahead of Lithuania in that all-important second place. Russia still stretching out at the front of the field. They now sit almost a length ahead of the Estonians, but they're doing all they need to do to keep their boat speed up at 38 strokes a minute. We can see them coming into view now in the finish tower. They're about to go through the 1,500-metre timing marker, and I think really it's just a case of what the Lithuanians can do to come back on Estonia. I think our 3 crews in the centre of the lake are going to be we're going to find our 2 qualifiers from there. Kasper Taimsoo, as you say, in the stroke seat for Estonia, just wanting to try and get a little bit more overlap, reel in those Russians, which they're starting to do quite effectively. They've taken the rating up 2 pips now. They're up at 38 strokes a minute. Their race pace was down at 36, and I think this is the time now they want to capitalise on that overlap that they've got with 500 metres to go.
Yeah, Estonia is going for the win. Still, they have about 2 seconds to go, and Russia is responding quite well. They are going now on rate 40, and but they are not the fastest boat on the course. The fastest boat on the course is Estonia with the experienced Tony Hendrickson. He will turn 43 next month.
Wow, what a career, right? And this would be a great birthday present for him indeed next month if they manage to qualify this boat for Tokyo. They've closed down once again a couple of seats on the Russians. It's going to be close into the line. I think the Estonians have got the experience to do this. The Russians still not moving quite as quickly. Estonia now fastest moving boat on the water, up at rate 40. The Russians at 42, but they can't quite match the speed of the blue, white and black blades of Estonia, who start to move through. Lithuania doing all they can, but I think it's going to have to be the Russians that they catch if they want that second spot through. Estonia now only 2 metres from their bow ball crossing the finish line first. What can the Russians do to qualify in first place? These 2 boats now safe and secure, I think, bearing any disasters. They've got 3 strokes to go. It's going to be so tight on the line, and I think wow, unsure as to who won that, but both crews, both Russia and Estonia, qualified for the Tokyo Olympic Games in this men's quad scull. What a disappointment for Lithuania. That's a real surprise to see them out, but both crews in the lead, very happy. We'll see who just about, I think it was Estonia that took the win there. What a last surge from them ahead of Russia. Lithuania in 3rd, missing out on those top 2 spots. It's then Romania that came across the line in 4th. We'll just wait for confirmation of the final 2 places, which was the Czech Republic in 5th and France in 6th.
Es ist Estland, welches das Rennen gewonnen hat, ganz knapp vor Russland. Diese beiden Boote haben sich für die Tokio Olympischen Spiele qualifiziert. Auf Rang 3 Litauen. Etwas eine Enttäuschung oder sehr große Enttäuschung für das Boot, welches 2017 noch Weltmeister war.
The victory ceremony for the women's quadruple sculls.
Die Siegerehrung zum Frauen-Doppelvierer.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
France. France represented by
Frankreich vertreten durch
Violaine Ernoux, Margot Balliol, Marie Jacquet, and Emma Lunati. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Australia! Australia represented by
Australien vertreten durch
Rhea Thompson, Rowena Meredith, Harriet Hudson, and Caitlin Cronin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
Very good.
From one race to another, from one final to another, and we're into the really big boats now. The women's 8 final lining up on the start. In lane 1, Russia. In lane 2, the Netherlands. In lane 3, China. In lane 4, Romania. And in lane 5, Germany.
Wir sind nun in der größten Bootsklasse bei den Frauen angelangt, im Frauenachter, und es stehen die folgenden Boote an Start. Russland, die Niederlande, China, Rumänien und Deutschland.
So another race under starters orders, and another race where we had a preliminary race yesterday, which meant that all of these crews have only raced once. They've not had to beat anyone to get into this final, but they did have to perform a race to determine their lanes. And well, out of that women's race, it was an incredibly dominating performance from China, actually, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. They were almost 2 seconds in front of Romania, and Romania is an experienced crew. They won the European Championship last year and this year, and finished 6th at the World Championship in Linz.
Yeah, and we're off the start, the noisiest starts of them all, the 8 races. It's great to hear the clash of blades into the water, and the coxes giving those initial sort of rallying cries to the 8 athletes that sit in front of them. And off the start, it's another fantastic start for China. I actually saw them practicing their start in front of the media stand this morning, and they did look very sharp, Michael.
Yeah, they did a really good job, and they are the fastest moving boat on the course, in front of the Netherlands and Romania, back in 3rd place at the moment. But we all know it's only the first 300 meters, and there is a lot to come.
Yeah, it's always so close here in these 8 races. We can't expect people crews to be winning by lengths and lengths like we perhaps have seen in some of the other races this morning. This will be close, and I know that the Dutch crew have come here with a lot of gusto, a young crew with not much Olympic experience, a couple of experienced athletes in the crew, including Marlos Oldenburg in the 4 seats, just wanting to guide them down this course and keep their calm and keep to their race plan. But it is still China with that really powerful start that's sort of flung them into first place position through the 500 metres, 1:29.94 for them through that first sign that we've got of timing. In second place, it's still the Netherlands. They're wanting to keep their bows overlap with the stern of the Chinese crew, but they are continuing to slip back. Their boat speed not quite on pace. In third place then, that experienced Romanian crew that's now just starting to make its way through, still up at rate 40 for those trailing crews, Michael.
Yeah, the Romanian, they are showing now why they were the European champions last year and this year. They are now moving also a bit up to the Chinese boat, and the Netherlands are losing a bit touch to the Romanians, but it's still not a lot between those boats. And the Netherlands, they actually have quite a tradition qualifying their eights at the Olympic Qualification Regatta. For example, 2004 they qualified their eight here in Lucerne, and afterwards winning a medal in the Athens Olympics.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that if you're on pace and you've been training well, even without a spot from the sort of automatic qualification from the World Championships, you can still go on to be very, very successful at the Games. And this Chinese crew, one another that has not raced any of these surrounding crews, who are all very, very familiar with each other from the European scene. Romania, the Netherlands, Germany, Russia, they've all been medalists at one point or another throughout the season, but China just putting all of that to bed. They've not really cared for the previous results. The only result that matters is the one that's here today. And China underrating the field, 37 strokes a minute now, and they're drawing out even further the closest crew to them. Now Romania trying as they might to stay on target, and it's probably the first time that I've seen Romania now drop underneath rate 40. They're at 38 strokes a minute. The crew coached by Antonio Colomanici, just wanting to hold their own through this third 500, and these two crews now, I think, too far ahead of the Dutch to even consider being knocked off these top two spots.
Wir nähern uns langsam der 1500 Meter Marke im Frauenachter, und es ist immer noch das Boot von China, welches das Rennen anführt. Mit einer sehr tiefen Schlagzahl, vergleichsweise von 37 Schlägen pro Minute, fahren sie den Feld davon, mit jedem Schlag ein paar Zentimeter. Unglaublich schön, wie sie das Rennen hier anführen. Auf dem zweiten Rang ist das Boot aus Rumänien, welches sich etwas absetzen konnte von den restlichen Booten. Auf Rang 3 immer noch die Holländerinnen, und welche etwa 7-8 Meter vor den Deutschen liegen. Am Schluss des Feldes Russland.
I'm sure that the cox for China, Zhong Dechang, is going to be very pleased to have broken clear water now over the experienced Romanian crew. It's not often that you see a Romanian crew trailing in the women's sweep events, and it's now clear water back that China have managed to gain over this incredible European champion crew. But these two crews now, I think, uncatchable really for these two spots through to the Olympic Games. The Dutch slipping even further and further back now, and actually in danger of Germany overtaking them. And same for Russia. They're just half a length back as they come into the final 250 metres.
Romania is now going up on the rate 42. They try everything to get back in touch with the Chinese boat. But the Chinese are still in the lead quite comfortably. I think Steve Redgrave will be happy with this performance.
Yeah, Steve Redgrave, Paul Thompson, both of the British rowers and coaches that are at the helm of the Chinese team that has been sent here to this final Olympic qualification regatta to try and litter the entries for the Olympic Games. It's going to be a really strong performance here from this Chinese women's eight. They are being closed down in this final 250 by the absolutely fearless Romanians that have managed to put their bow ball on the 7th seat of China's eight, but a huge punch in the air there for Zhong Dechang, the cox of the Chinese crew, absolutely elated to have beaten, well, an incredible Romanian crew that take that second slot. It's then going to be the Germans that move into third ahead of the Netherlands, early challengers, and then Russia finishing off that lineup.
Es sind die Boote von China und Rumänien, welche sich für die Olympischen Spiele qualifizieren. Knapp daneben ist das Boot aus den Niederlanden, aus Deutschland und den Niederlanden.
The victory ceremony for the men's quadruple sculls.
Die Siegerehrung zum Männer-Doppelvierer.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Russia! Russia represented by
Russland vertreten durch
Nikita Morgachev, Artem Kozov, Nikolai Pimenov, and Pavel Sorin. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Estonia! Estonia represented by
Estland vertreten durch
Yuri Mikudam, Ala Raya, Tonu Endriksson, and Kaspar Taimsu. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
From 1/8 race to another, we're now on to the men's 8 final.
Vom einen Rennen zum nächsten. Wir sind nun im Männerachter im Final. Es werden die letzten beiden Plätze für die Olympischen Spiele vergeben.
Another 2 places up for grabs here as we line up on the start. In lane 1, China. In lane 2, New Zealand. In lane 3, Romania. In lane 4, Italy.
Auf der Bahn 1 China, Bahn 2 Neuseeland, Bahn 3 Rumänien, Bahn 4 Italien.
Now we've got the one and only crew from New Zealand that has been sent here for the final Olympic qualification regatta. Do we think we're going to see as an impressive performance here, Michael, as we did from them in the preliminary heat?
Yeah, I think so. They actually put everything into this 8. I mean, there are some big names as Hamish Bond, for example, and they showed an absolutely astonishing performance in the preliminary race, and they are now on their way and also had a good start, but not as good as the boat from China.
Yeah, China looking to replicate the performance that we've just had in their women's 8. That would be an astounding performance for them to qualify both men's and women's 8 for the Olympic Games. But a fast start, but lots of experience that sits just to the left of them in the field. They'll be able to catch out of their left-hand side. New Zealand that sit next to them that will be closing in, and the Romanians who, well renowned for their fast start. They're up at 47 strokes a minute. Cyprian Huch in the stroke seat, just wanting to close off any challenge from New Zealand early doors here.
Yeah, the Romanians are certainly the most experienced racing crew on the lake, as they were on the podium last year and this year at the European Championship, and were 7th at the World Championship in Linz back in 2019. The New Zealand 8 is now the fastest boat on the course, together with China, but it's always changing between New Zealand, China and Romania.
Yeah, it's lots of shuffling of bow balls here as we approach 600 metres. Only the Italians somewhat off the pace, half a length back, but it's now a tussle between Romania and New Zealand. These really tense moments in this second 500 metres is really where you're going to have to tell your body to stop screaming and your head to keep calm and stick to your race plan, especially if you're in that New Zealand crew. So much pressure on this crew to perform well, like you said. say, especially, taking the two from the pair. We've got Murray and Brake sat in the bow seat and the fore seat. They got silver medal at the World Championships in the pair. It's big. It's a big move. If this crew qualifies in this lineup, that's the crew they have to send to Tokyo, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the crew, and I think if this crew is going to Tokyo, they have a chance to really win a medal there.
Yeah, especially if you're leading someone like Romania, which is exactly what they're doing, approaching the 1,000 metres gone mark. They're up at 40 strokes a minute and just an edge, half a canvas now over the Romanian crew, who continue to push back. They're almost fighting for the lead once again. A little surge that's just picked the bows up. It put them ahead of New Zealand just for one stroke, but they've slipped back ever so slightly. Barely anything to choose between these two crews up at the front of the field. China, they're not too far off the pace, actually, are they, Michael, going through that 1,000-metre marker?
No, it's still pretty close between Romania and China, and New Zealand maybe 1 second ahead of those two crews. Italy is a bit off the pace, but as we all know, Italy, they always have a really strong finish sprint, so we cannot...
We can't rule them out. We can't rule out the Italians. All of these crews are up over 40 strokes a minute. Just China now settling back down. They've decided to just rein it back in. Kai Peng in the stroke seat for China, just wanting to keep them at their race rhythm, which is 38 strokes a minute. They still sit half a length back on the leading two crews. New Zealand just having to keep their calm, because with every single stroke, a bit more of a pinch from the Romanians. They're just 1 pip higher. The Romanian Cyprian Huch, as I say, still wanting to keep them up and nice and lively, and they will still have room to go from this, won't they, Michael?
Yeah, although they are all over rate 40, especially New Zealand, Romania and Italy, and they are now approaching the 1,500-meter mark. We are now over the 1,500-meter mark, and it's still New Zealand in front of Romania, maybe 1 canvas the difference.
Yeah, that was a really decisive move there, actually, from the New Zealand 8. David McDonald in the stroke seat. Just wanted to take them up 2 more pips. They're at 42 strokes a minute. They're the fastest moving boat on the course, and it's given them 2 more seats over the Romanian crew. They are really firing on all cylinders. They want to prove that come the summer, they should be in that mix. They deserve to be on that start line, not just to qualify, but to be in the medals, like you say, with this particular line. They've got all the all-stars in it, and they're now moving away from Romania, who have thrown everything at it. There we go, that very characteristic 45 strokes a minute now from Romania, and they're moving away from China and Italy.
Wir nähern uns den letzten 200 Meter in Männerachtern, und es ist immer noch Neuseeland vor Rumänien, welche das Rennen anführen.
Well, no doubt in my mind, certainly, as to who our 2 qualifying crews are, but this has not stopped it from being a sensational race the whole way down this course. It is going to be this Kiwi crew that has travelled all the way, halfway across the world here to the Rothsay, that will finish in first place and book their tickets to the Tokyo Olympic Games. Romania, with a similar celebration there, they also qualify for the Games ahead of Italy, that finish in 3rd, and China, after a very gutsy first half, will finish in 4th.
Es ist das Boot aus Neuseeland in 5 Minuten 35, welche die Ziellinie als erster überquert haben. Auf dem Rang 2, ebenfalls qualifiziert für Olympische Spiele, ist Rumänien. Auf Rang 4 China und auf Rang 3 China und 4 Italien, welche sich nicht qualifizieren konnten.
The victory ceremony for the women's 8.
Die Siegerehrung zum Frauenachter.
In 2nd place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Romania! Romania, represented by
Rumänien, vertreten durch
Maria Magdalena Rusu, Viviana Juliana Beginariu, Georgiana Dedu, Maria Tivodariu, Ioana Vrencianu, Amalia Beres, Madalina Beres, Denisa Tilvescu, and Daniela Druncea. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
China! China represented by
China, vertreten durch
Wang Xifeng, Wang Yuwei, Xu Fei, Miao Tian, Zhang Min, Zhu Rui, Li Jingjing, Guo Linlin, and Zhang Dechang. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
On to the next of our semi-finals, and this is the first. Next of our finals, and this is the first final where we've had crews that have raced in the semi-finals this morning. So they've recovered, and they're now back up at the start line, ready to race again. In lane 1, we've got Poland in this men's pairs A final. In lane 2, the USA. In lane 3, the Netherlands. In lane 4, Great Britain. In lane 5, Denmark. And in lane 6, Germany.
Wir sind nun an der Startlinie des Männer-Zweierones. Das ist die erste Bootsklasse, die heute Morgen schon im Einsatz war und den Halbfinal bestritten hat. Es stehen am Start Polen, die USA, die Niederlande, Großbritannien, Dänemark und Deutschland.
So off the start we go with some probably very exhausted athletes, but as things change, as we've always said throughout the regatta, you've got to be prepared for anything at all, and that's what they put the training in for. They'll have prepared for this kind of situation, and out of the blocks and into the first 200 metres, it's the Dutch crew just taking the lead, but being challenged from either side. Denmark also up there trying to fight for first place alongside the USA, Great Britain and Poland all still in contention. Germany just a bit further back.
Es ist unglaublich eng, auch nach 400 Meter. Alle Boote sind fast auf einer Linie. Etwas zurück ist Deutschland und Polen. An der Spitze des Feldes momentan Dänemark, welche sich schon im Frauen-Zweierone qualifizieren konnte. Aber es ist noch ein langer Weg bis zur Ziellinie. Momentan erreichen die Ruderer in wenigen Metern die 500-Meter-Marke.
It'll be interesting to see these crews settle down onto race pace, because I think there's probably 4 crews here that could qualify for these 2 initial spots. In fact, the whole A final with such quality. We've seen some great performances from this leading Danish crew of Joachim Sutton and Freddie Visterveld in the bow seats. The British schoolboy, in fact, now racing for Denmark, and they are out through 500 in that leading position. The fight for second is still too hot to call, and I think as it stands at the moment, the Dutch pairing of Guillaume Krummenhoek and Nicky van Sprang, the 2 ex-Scullers, as we've already discussed, stepping into this pair combination and making sweep rowing work really well for them. They're looking great out there at the moment, up at 38 strokes a minute, and just behind them is the British pair of Morgan Boulding and Harry Glenister in third.
Yeah, the Dutch boat is really doing a great job, although at the moment they are only in the second place, but we know they can step on the second 1,000 meters. They are originally Sculls, as we said, but Nicky van Sprang was studying in the US, and he was in those famous US college aids, so he knows exactly how to row sweep rowing boat.
Yeah, definitely. And same goes actually for the US crew, right? You've got in the bows there of the US pair, Michael DeSanto, collegiate experience from both Harvard and Oxford University from the boat race. There's a man who knows how to hold a sweep oar. And so expect big things from them coming through this middle 1,000 metres. But the Danish doing extremely well to hold on to the top spot with such an experienced field surrounding them. This crew have been together through the last European Championships where they were in the B final. So it would be an unbelievable result, actually, if they were to manage to overcome the Brits who actually won that B final back in Varese.
Yeah, definitely. And the Brits are at the 1,000 meter marks only in the third place. First, still Denmark, ahead of Netherlands, maybe 1 second back. And in third place, GB. Fourth place, the US. And fifth place is Germany. And at the last place is Poland.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, and we've said it time and time again, never write off the small boats. Everything can change so quickly. And although Denmark have done a sterling job of staying in the lead, they're up at 39 strokes a minute. Sutton in the stroke seat, just wanting to keep the rating nice and lively. All of those distances are very likely to change in this third 500. Our current qualifiers, if the race was to end right now as it stands, would be Denmark and the Netherlands, but still in contention. The USA and Great Britain are level pegging behind them in third position, and we know the Brits have got a great sprint on them. Morgan Boulding in the stroke seat, almost getting them into the A final back in Varese with a last minute sprint, so we know they've got the legs. But the time ticking down now, the meters ticking down now as we're approaching 500 meters to go.
Wir sind nun bald auf den letzten 500 Metern und es ist immer noch das Boot von Dänemark, welches das Rennen hier anführt. Verfolgt werden sie vom Boot aus den Niederlanden. Diese 2 Boote würden sich jetzt qualifizieren, wenn das Rennen hier zu Ende wäre. Aber es ist noch nicht zu Ende und kein Boot hat aufgegeben. Es ist ganz spannend, wer hier wieder ranfahren kann, denn gerade die USA und das britische Boot sind auf einer Höhe und sie werden sicherlich versuchen, wieder an die führenden Boote heranzufahren.
3/4 of a length the Danish have now over the Netherlands. Sutton and Visterveld dominating from the start. They've managed to keep this pace up and not let anyone get close to them yet, but let's expect a bit of a sprint to form around them. The Netherlands now up at 41 strokes a minute. They're trying to close down that distance between themselves and the Danish combination, but hot pressure coming from behind. The USA 39 strokes a minute up there with one of the fastest moving boats on the course alongside the Netherlands. Speed now dropping actually for the Danish pairing, and they're letting the Dutch close in, but these 2 crews now into the Red Boys.
It's the boat from the Netherlands who is charging hard to be in the first place, but it's still Denmark who is holding on at the moment.
We definitely cannot write off the USA. They're really moving well here through these red boys. I think it's going to be too little too late though, but the pair does move through very quickly. One last chance here for the US to clinch that final spot. Great Britain also trying to move through as well. The Dutch fading. Have they left it too late though? I think they might have done. The Dutch might even claim first as Denmark also start to move back. It's going to be very close across the line. I think Denmark will just hold on, but I'm not sure. It's both of those crews in a photo finish, but those two crews will absolutely qualify for Tokyo. We'll wait to see the official results there, but both the Dutch and the Danish, emphatic victory there for both of them. Amazing stuff. And clear water now back to Great Britain and the USA. We'll wait to see the official standings. Here we are. So the Dutch did indeed push through that final stroke of the race. It all came down to that. Winners of the final Olympic qualification regatta over Denmark, who led the entirety of the course. It's then the United States of America in third, ahead of Great Britain in fourth. And then short wait back to fifth is Germany, ahead of sixth Poland.
Yeah, Denmark could already qualify their second boat for the Olympics in Tokyo. That will make 4 boats qualified for the Olympics in Tokyo. The Sverre Nielsen in single, the women's 4, and the 2 pairs. So well done, Denmark.
The victory ceremony for the men's 8.
Die Siegerehrung zum Männer-Achter.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Romania! Romania represented by
Rumänien vertreten durch
Alexandru Ciuzoiaua, Florin Sorin Lehaci, Constantin Radu, Sergiu Vasile Bejan, Vlad Dragos Aikoboy, Konstantin Adam, Florin Nicolae Arteni Fintiniariu, Ciprian Hook, and Adrian Munteanu. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
New Zealand! New Zealand represented by
Neuseeland vertreten durch
Thomas James Murray, Hamish Bond, Sean Kirkham, Michael Brake, Daniel Hunter Williamson, Philip Wilson, Tom Holden McIntosh, Matt David MacDonald, and Sam Bosworth. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we're already underway with the next race on the course, the men's double sculls final. In lane 1, Spain. In lane 2, Serbia. In lane 3, Russia. In lane 4, the Czech Republic. In lane 5, Australia. And in lane 6, Italy.
Es geht unglaublich schnell hier auf dem Rotsee. Wir sind schon im Finale vom Männer-Doppelzweier. Es stehen am Start Spanien, Serbien, Russland, die Tschechische Republik, Australien und Italien. The boats are now approaching the 500-meter mark and Camilla will tell us who is leading the race.
Yeah, it's going to be a close fought race, as it has been all morning for these top 2 spots through to the Tokyo Games. I think possibly the leaders at the moment would be who I would pick as one of those places. The Czech Republic combination of Jan Chinchebuch and Jakub Podrazel in the bow seat. They're just trying to take them through this first 500 metres, and they've achieved first place there through 500 in a time of 1:34.13. It's then for second place, well, a very tight contest. Spain currently leading Russia. The Australians back in fourth. That's quite surprising, but I think they're still warming up to the racing season here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. They had a long travel from Australia and not a lot of races in the past few months. So we'll see if they can react on the second 1,000 meters, but they're not yet there. They are approaching now the 1,000 meter mark, and it's still the boat from the Czech Republic who is leading the race in front of the Russian double.
Yeah, these 2 crews, the fastest 2 boats in this morning's semi-final. They didn't have to face each other. They won their semi-finals respectively. Russia, the fastest of those 2 times. So let's not write Russia off too much yet. But as we come in towards 850 metres, the Czech Republic still with the lead. Russia just half a length back. The combination, including Andrei Potapkin in the stroke seat, will be wanting more and more. They'll have seen those qualifying times from this morning and know that they're capable of the win. But I think both of these crews will have to keep close eyes on the race behind them for third, which may end up pushing up in towards second, because the early second place went towards Spain. The Spanish combination also trying to fight off Australia. They're level pegging at the moment as we go through halfway.
Wir sind nun bei der 1000-Meter-Marke durch und es ist immer noch die Tschechische Republik, welche das Rennen nun anführt. Gefolgt werden sie von Russland und auf Rang 3 Australien, aber diese sind nur ganz knapp vor Spanien und es kann gut sein, dass Spanien und Australien sich so stark fordern, dass sie die anderen Boote vor ihnen etwas unter Druck setzen können.
I think that fast start from Spain lowered the reserve somewhat, as Alex Garcia Pioja and Conde Romero in this pairing in lane 1, just slipping back now. They're trying to push the rating up to try and compensate for the lack of speed through this third 500, but with every single stroke, the 2 Wattses in the Aussie crew, David and Campbell, over on the other side of the lake, just starting to move through. They're still quite far off our leading 2 contenders in the centre of the lake, and Russia now wanting more. They're going for the win here, and as we predicted, they've broken through. They're up at 40 strokes a minute now. Have they gone too early here, Michael? We're not even at 500 to go yet.
Yeah, that will be really interesting, and also if the Czech boat can hold their pace and stay in front of the Australian boat. In the Czech boat at the stroke, it's Jan Chinchebuch, a former lightweight, who is now together with Jakub Podrazel, a former sweep rower.
Yeah, they've done a really good season so far, this Czech combination. They've had some really nice results as a pairing. They finished 5th at the most recent World Cup, so this would be a really strong result for them to qualify this boat for Tokyo. But they do need to watch out, because we're into the final 500 metres now, and Spain and Australia still looming, and with every stroke they seem to be losing distance on the Russians here.
But the Czech boat and the Russian boat, they are really doing a good job. They are still calm, although they are rating 39 strokes a minute. But if we look at them, it looks good, it looks smooth. They are coming, and they're on the last 250 meters. And in front is still the Russian boat.
Yeah, even after 1,750 metres, it doesn't look laboured in either of these leading crews. The Russians just have opened up a really nice lead now. I don't think the Czechs have got anything to respond, and they'll be able to see the Australians just to their left starting to get overlap, but it really is too late. I think our 2 qualifiers are set, avoiding any disaster in the final 50 metres. What a performance here from Russia. A really great row here from Potapkin and Kondratayev of Russia. 3/4 of a length they're going to have over the line ahead of the Czech Republic. So there it is, an Olympic spot for this Russian double scull ahead of the Czech Republic, who will be really excited about that. Australia disappointing to miss out in third place ahead of Spain. It's then going to be the Serbian combination in lane number 2 ahead of Italy, who will finish in the final place.
Es ist Russland und die Tschechische Republik, welche sich für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio qualifizieren. Knapp daneben ist das Boot von Australien. Etwa eine Sekunde hinter der Tschechischen Republik schoben sie als Dritte ihren Bug über die Ziellinie. 4. Spanien, 5. Serbien, 6. das Boot aus Italien.
The victory ceremony for the men's pair.
Die Siegerehrung für den Männer-Zweierone.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Denmark. Denmark represented by
Dänemark vertreten durch
Frederik Wisterwell and Joachim Sutton. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
The Netherlands. The Netherlands represented by
Die Niederlande vertreten durch
Nicolas van Sprang and Guillaume Krummenhoek. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
Well, we've got to do it all again now. It's the final of the men's 4 that's on the start line.
Wir sind nun angekommen im Finale des Männer-Viererone.
In lane 1, Ukraine. In lane 2, Austria. In lane 3, Canada. In lane 4, South Africa. In lane 5, France. And in lane 6, Belarus.
Es sind die Boote aus Ukraine, Österreich, Kanada, Südafrika, Frankreich und Weißrussland, welche hier um die letzten beiden Plätze für die Olympischen Spiele antreten. And the race is now underway, the men's 4. And it's the boat from France who is leading the race on the first few meters, but chased from most all of the boats. It's pretty close and level.
Yeah, really difficult to determine who's in good shape actually in just the first few strokes, but I'm sure we will be seeing a few emerging crews soon, especially from the centre of the lake. Those are who we need to watch out for. Our semi-final winners, which were South Africa and Canada, with, well, extremely similar times, in fact, actually.
Yeah, definitely, and almost at the same time. And behind them, also pretty intense race. Austria and France were not far behind, so those 4 crews, they will certainly chase each other down the Rotsee.
Yeah, tons of experience across the field here in these 4s, but it is the Canadian crew with a fairly young average here. The two middle pair in this Canadian crew with 1997 birthdays, which only makes them 23 and 24 years old, so quite a lot of inexperience here in the middle of this Canadian crew in comparison to the likes of South Africa, who are still chasing for the lead just behind them. John Smith in the 3C, Olympic champion in the lightweight men's 4s, Michael.
Yes, another lightweight rower who transitioned into the heavyweights, and quite successfully, as they are now level with the Canadian boat. As they are approaching the 1,000-meter lines and the coach's corner, and I'm sure at the coach's corner there is also the coach of the Canada 4, Terry Paul, was the former coach in Switzerland for some years, and I think he's quite familiar with the lake here, as he was also a cox for the Canadian 8 in '92, so a lot of experience also at the coach's corner.
Yeah, a lot of nervous coaches, I'm sure. This lead keeps interchanging the Canadians, fiercely trying to hold on to 40 strokes a minute. That is quite difficult to maintain for William Crothers in the stroke seat, who I think will have to settle them at some point. It's just seeming to be too hard to keep up that rhythm. They're now down to 39 strokes a minute, and that's just allowed South Africa to take the lead for just 1 second. But with every single surge of the bows, they change places. I think South Africa's got the rhythm to come through, though, in this first 1,000 metres now. It is South Africa that takes the timing marker at 3:02.01, but 3:02.18 for Canada. Less than 0.2 of a second to separate these two cruisers. They push away from third place France, and again, more Olympic experience in this French crew. Dorian Mortelet in the stroke seat, silver medalist from the London Games in the men's French pair, and he's taken his crew up now to rate 40 as to try and not let South Africa and Canada run away.
Yeah, they have to respond now, otherwise the train or the plane to Tokyo is away. Wir haben nun die 1000-Meter-Marke überquert und es ist das Boot aus Südafrika, welches das Rennen immer noch anführt, ganz knapp vor dem Boot von Kanada, und es versucht, sie werden unter Druck gesetzt vom Boot aus Frankreich, welches versucht, an diesen beiden Booten dran zu bleiben und ihren olympischen Traum aufrechtzuerhalten.
Well, you've got to have a lot of confidence to underrate your opponents when you're in this kind of position, but that's exactly what South Africa are doing right now. They're the lowest rating of these leading pack of boats, and they're now pulling out of the Canadians that step up one more pip. They're now at 41 strokes a minute. We're not even through 500 metres to go yet. They tried to rush themselves back up the slide to get onto the next stroke, and the South Africans have stepped down again. This is almost laughing here. 38 strokes a minute now. They've lengthened out once more, and you can really see them in comparison to the Canadians that sit in the lane next to them, just how much more length that's giving them. It's now 3 strokes a minute higher that the Canadians punch up. 43 strokes a minute now as the South Africans go to 39. The French trying to close in third.
Yeah, the French are now the fastest moving boat on the course, but I think it's too late. Canada and South Africa are a bit away, and they are moving quite well on the last about 300 meters.
Yeah, it's a really good move here from the French. They had a great first World Cup where they won pretty comfortably, but unfortunately that's not going to translate to this competition that comes from further afield that aren't in Europe. Our two leading crews with no racing so far since the 2019 Linz Championships, and I think that's not done them any harm. They've managed to train away, squirrel away the miles as they come into the final, Red Boys, and what a fantastic race out in front for these two crews. The French are clawing back water, but it is too late. You're absolutely right, Michael. But South Africa, with that length, just with that little bit more experience in the crew than the Canadians, have managed to draw out 3/4 of a length in the final 200 metres as they cross the line to get to Tokyo. What a performance from them. Canada will do the same. Also delighted ahead of France. It's then going to be Austria in 4th, and then very close on the line for 5th and 6th between Belarus and Ukraine.
Was für ein Rennen von den Südafrikanern. Sie haben den Sieg nach Hause gebracht. Vor den Kanadiern nicht dabei in Tokio wird das Boot von Frankreich, Weißrussland, Österreich und der Ukraine sein.
The victory ceremony for the men's double sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Männer-Doppelzweier.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
The Czech Republic.
Die Tschechische Republik.
The Czech Republic represented by
Die Tschechische Republik vertreten durch
Jakub Podrazil and Jan Cinčibuch. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Russia. Russia represented by
Russland vertreten durch
Ilya Kondratiev and Andrei Potapkin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
So from some slightly bigger boats to some slightly smaller boats now as we run back up to the start with the final of the men's single sculls.
Wir kommen nun zu den ganz kleinen Booten, zum Männer-Einer, welche nun am Start stehen.
In lane number 1, representing Romania, Mihai Ceruta. In lane 2, representing Canada, Trevor Jones. In lane 3, representing Poland, Natan Ragrycki-Szymczyk. In lane 4 for Russia, Alexander Vizovkin. In lane 5 for Bulgaria, Christian Vasilev. And in lane 6 for Belarus, Filip Pavuku.
Es sind die folgenden Boote am Start. Rumänien, Kanada, Polen, Russland, Bulgarien und Weißrussland.
Well, it can be quite lonely up there on the start line in the single scull, hey?
Yeah, and now you're even more lonelier up there because there are no spectators there. It's all quiet, it's all calm. Best conditions here on the Rotsee, and soon they will start.
What's your best advice, Michael, for rowing a single scull on the Rotsee?
Well, enjoy it because it's a lovely atmosphere here in the Rotsee. Almost always best conditions, and yeah, it's a magical place.
Yeah, a magical place. A great way to describe the conditions here today. It is still beautifully flat, calm here on the lake. We've just got a small patter of rain now in front of us here at the finish tower. Not sure if that's the same a little bit further up the course, but Yeah, it's certainly nice and calm here for these scullers. Out of the blocks now and heading towards 300 metres gone. It is the Russian Alexander Vysovkin with the best start ahead of the Polish sculler Natan Wygrycki-Szymczak, and I think we were saying before this race started, we certainly think the Polish sculler is going to put in a good performance here.
Yeah, he really had 2 really good years. He was twice on the podium at the European Championships and finishing second and third. Beside him, also the Canadian scholar Trevor Jones, I'm sure he will try everything to be in the top 2. And at the 500 meter mark, it's the boat from Russia who is first, followed by, that's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty level here between Wygrycki-Szymczak and Trevor Jones of Canada, who put in a really great performance through the heat and through the semi-final. The Canadian Jones, coached by Jeremy Ivey, was an under-23 success story, winning the under-23 championships in the open weight single scull in 2018. So he's really been a rising star, and he's sat right up alongside probably the competition favourite in this men's single scull, the Polish sculler Natan Wygrycki-Szymczak, the boat race winner for Cambridge University, now in the single scull, and as we said, much more lonely than racing in the eights. But we can't help but talk about Alexander Vysovkin, who leads the field. The Russian women's single sculler as well, Prakatsin, had a really successful European qualification regatta, so this would be matching that performance if he replicates it here today on the Rotsee.
Yeah, definitely. And all the Russian team, they really stepped up this year. As we just seen the double sculls, for example, they really can scull well. And also now here, Alexander Vysovkin, he's leading the field just in front of the 1,000 meter mark. He's in a comfortable lead.
Yeah, he really is in a comfortable lead, a few lengths clear of Wygrycki-Szymczak and Jones, who continue to be level. This must be quite nerve-wracking, actually, for both Jones and Wygrycki-Szymczak. With every stroke, both of these scullers move at the same pace through the 1,000 metre marker. The time will tell us, as the times don't lie, who goes through the 1,000 first. And as it stands at the moment, it's Natan Wygrycki-Szymczak that sits in the hot seat ahead of Trevor Jones. But Trevor Jones really quite hot on his heels. In fourth, Mihai Cerută of Romania, Christian Vasilev in fifth, and Pavucu in sixth.
The big question is, can Natan Wygrycki-Szymczak or Trevor Jones close up the gap to the Russian scholar Alexander Vysovkin? What do you think, Camilla?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it looks like a long distance from where we are, 35 metres back from Vysovkin, sits Poland, the Polish sculler, but it's in a single scull, the speed changes so quickly. You're the only person that's responsible for that. So I'm sure that Natan and I'm sure that Trevor will have a game plan to try and close down Alexander Vysovkin's lead. But this has been a big performance from him so far. And he is still, I was about to say the fastest moving crew on the water, but Trevor Jones, I think having to go with Natan here because he's now the fastest moving boat on the water at 40 strokes a minute here, Michael.
Yeah, and it's still 800 meters to go, and he's already at the rate 40. That's impressively high for this stage of the race. But still in the lead, the Russian comfortably rating 35, 5-stroke lower than the Canadian. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's quite a young field here. The 24-year-old Russian Vysovkin still with oodles of clear water that he can look back on behind him, and he's at 36 strokes a minute. Not the fastest moving boat on the water, though. Has Trevor Jones gone too early here? The Canadian has moved ahead by half a length ahead of Natan Wygrycki-Szymczak of Poland. And wow, I mean, I think that would be the biggest surprise of the day if the Polish sculler doesn't make it into these top two spots here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. He was the big favorite for this regatta, and I think if you had to put some money on a name, then probably you would put it on Nathan Vigrički-Šimčík. But at the moment, it doesn't look too good for him. He's about half a length, almost a length behind the Canadian sculler, and still, the Russian is moving away. What a performance, like Hanna Pragatzen in Varese. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this is going to be right down to the wire here. I do not put it past Nathan Vigrički-Šimčík to come for the Canadian. He's going to think he's gone too early. Here goes Nathan. He winds through the ratings. I don't think they're going to catch the Russian down at 35 strokes a minute. He really is making fun of the rest of the field here as he lengthens out even more. He's going to process through these red boys. But look at this head-on head race here for that second spot through to the Olympic Games. Everything is on the line here for Canada and Poland. The small crowds that we've got here in the media tent are in for a treat as Poland and Canada go head to head. Canada still half a length ahead in second place. Nobody is catching Alexander Vizovkin of Russia. He's going to cross the line in first, but Canada, I think, will hold to be the biggest surprise of today, to take the all-important second place through to the Olympic Games. Trevor Jones, take a bow. That was an insane performance there for the young Canadian, just 23 years old, to beat out Poland's Nathan Vigrički-Šimčík into an Olympic place. It's then going to be over on the far side of the lake, the Belarusian Filip Pavuku, ahead of the rest of the fields, Bulgaria and Romania.
Es ist der Russe Alexander Viazovskin, welcher das Rennen hier deutlich gewonnen hat. Gefolgt von Trevor Jones. Diese beiden Athleten konnten sich qualifizieren für die Olympischen Spiele. Nicht dabei wird Nathan Vigrički-Šimčík sein, welcher so eine erfolgreiche Zeit in den letzten Monaten hatte, aber hier sich nicht qualifizieren konnte.
The victory ceremony for the men's four.
Die Siegerehrung zum Männer-Vierrone.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Canada! Canada represented by
Kanada vertreten durch
Jakub Buček, Luke Gadsden, Gavin Stone, and William Peter Simpson Crothers. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
South Africa! South Africa represented by
Südafrika vertreten durch
Lawrence Britton, Kyle Schoonby, John Smith, and Sandro Paolo Torrente. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
Right.
I actually feel quite sick for a lot of these people. Next up, we've potentially got one of the tightest races of the day on the start line here. Michael and I just looked at the start list and went, wow, we would not like to be in this mix vying for only 3 places. Well, an additional place at least for these lightweight women's double sculls. In this final, in 1 China, in 2 Ireland, in 3 the USA, in 4 Switzerland, in 5 Poland and in 6 Australia.
Wir sind nun im Finale des Frauenleichtgewichts-Doppelzweiers und es sind China, Irland, USA, die Schweiz, Polen und Australien am Start. Und der Start ist eben erfolgt. Das erste Boot, welches nun vorne ist Polen, dicht gefolgt von den Booten aus den USA. Irland und auch der Schweiz. Diese Boote sind alle ganz nahe beisammen und natürlich auch auf der Außenbahn ist es China, welche gut dabei ist. Alle Boote rudern jetzt noch immer mit sehr hohen Schlagzahlen, um die 40, Irland sogar mit 42.
I think every crew off the blocks in this race led at 1 point during those first 10 strokes. It's all change here as China in lane number 1 step out, rating 39 strokes a minute. Pan Dandan and Huang Wenyi in the bow seat. I think those two have perhaps actually switched for this final, which it's a different lineup to the start list that we've had in the previous semi-final. Going through towards 500 metres now. It's going to be second place, I think, just sitting with Poland at the moment, but very tight on the USA as well in those top 3 positions. Switzerland just a couple of metres back.
Wir haben nun gerade eben die 500-Meter-Marke überquert und es ist China, welches als erster darüber gefahren ist. Dicht gefolgt von den USA und Polen auf der 4. Position, die Schweiz mit Patricia Merz und Frederik Roll auf der 5. Position, Irland und an 6. Stelle Australien, welche etwas zurück sind, 2 Sekunden hinter den Irländerinnen.
Well, it's still the Chinese duo that take us through 600 metres in the lead, but with barely any room to breathe. The USA just starting to make their move now in this second 500, both rating 35 strokes a minute, these top 2 crews at the lead of the field, and it's actually the US crew of Michelle Sexer and Molly Reckford that the fastest moving boat on the course now as they move through China. They took the lead for just a blink of an eye there. And I think this is them starting to mount their challenge. Looking back, that additional place, remember, that we've got here in this lightweight double sculls, we've got to look to the top 3. And, well, that third space, I think the home crowd will be very pleased to see Patricia Merz and Frederik Roll in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, definitely. They are but only about 2 meters in front of the Polish boat, so it's all still pretty level, and also the Irish double is not far away. And as we all know, you cannot you always have to look out for the Irish double in lightweight rowing.
Yeah, definitely. Aoife Casey and Margaret Kremen, again, I think exceeded expectations for the Irish camp, and they've come here not just to put in a good performance, but to qualify this boat for the Games. And as we go through 1,000 metres halfway, the United States of America just pipped China to that halfway title. It's then going to be Switzerland in 3rd place ahead of Ireland that close the gap even further to Merz and Roll. This is going to be such a sensational race between these 5 crews. We've only got 3 seconds separating. That's a boat length between the entirety of this field. I think Australia, the only crew off the pace here with Pound and Nesbitt.
Yeah, I think this will be a nerve-wracking second 1,000 meter. As we are now at the 1,200 meter mark, it's still the US in the lead, followed by the boat from Ireland, China and Ireland almost level with Switzerland. Die Schweizerinnen sind immer noch ganz gut im Geschäft. Sie rudern momentan auf dem 3. Rang. Etwas vor den Irländerinnen, aber hinter China und den USA. Für die Schweizerinnen ist es der 4. Anlauf, sich für die Olympischen Spiele zu qualifizieren, nachdem sie für Rio die Qualifikation verpasst haben und auch in Linz sich noch nicht qualifizieren konnten für die Olympischen Spiele. Nun sieht es besser aus. Sie sind immer noch auf dem guten 3. Rang, aber die Irländerinnen sind hartnäckig, lassen sich nicht abschütteln. How will it gonna be? We are approaching the 1,500 meter mark. What do you think, Camilla?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a really tight race here still. If you're tuning in from the USA, you'll be very pleased to see Molly Reckford, the lady from New Jersey, with her partner from California, Michelle Sexer, leading at the front of the field, 35 strokes a minute. Then China still in second position. It's going to be a bun fight for third. Switzerland and Ireland just absolutely stroke for stroke. It's still the Swiss at the moment, but half a canvas in it. Back to Aoife Casey and Margaret Crumman. I'm sure that the home venue of the Rotse here for the Swiss is going to move them on, but the Irish are closing in. They're up at rate 40 here, Michael.
Yeah, the Irish are closing in, but still the Swiss are in front, and we know Patricia Merz and Frederick Roll, they can hold their pace quite well, and they are pretty tough in the head. So on the last 200 meters, we will see who is in front. Switzerland, Ireland.
China are slipping back. China that have sat in second position behind the USA for the first 1,500 metres, now suffering the fate of being overtaken by Switzerland and Ireland. The Swiss look like they're flying towards the USA. They're moving up into second position with Ireland. It could be China missing out here. China responding now. They're up at 40 strokes a minute, but I think it's going to be the USA that charge the way into the line. The Swiss now gaining more and more overlap. Can they win here on the Rotse, on their home water at the final Olympic qualification regatta?
What a finish sprint of Switzerland. They are charging now even on the US boat. Unbelievable.
Over the line, it's going to be the USA half a length ahead of Switzerland. Ireland clinched the final spot through to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in the lightweight women's double scull. China, what a huge upturn for them. It's then going to be Poland ahead of Australia. A huge name missing out there in Weronika Deresz in the bow seat of the Polish crew. What a name not to make the Games.
Was für ein unglaubliches Rennen im Frauen-Leichtgewicht Doppelzweier. Qualifiziert haben sich für die Olympischen Spiele die USA und die Schweiz mit einem unglaublichen zweiten 1000 Meter Rennen und auf dem dritten Rang Irland, welche sich ebenfalls qualifizieren konnten.
The victory ceremony for the men's single sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Männer-Einer.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta representing Canada.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympischen Regatta.
Trevor Jones. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta representing Russia.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympischen Regatta aus Russland.
Alexander Wiasowkin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
That last one. Oh. Gone really quickly. With another crew that could crazy. Third. They've got the 4 and the single. Yeah. Up at the start line now, we have our final here in Lucerne, the final Olympic qualification regatta.
Nun, an der Startlinie steht der Männer-Leichtgewichts-Doppelzweier. Das letzte Rennen, das finale Rennen dieser olympischen Qualifikationsregatta. Und das Rennen ist eben gestartet mit China, welche am besten vom Start weggekommen sind. Dicht gefolgt von der Schweiz, Kanada und Tschechien.
Yeah, we're underway here. Just a quick runners and riders. Switzerland in 1, China in 2, Canada in 3, the Czech Republic in 4, France in 5, Australia in 6. And my co-commentator Michael rightly pointed out there, China with the best start. They're up at rate 41 as they come through the 200-metre marker. We're back down to only 2 places to qualify. We can't get too excited. We've just seen 3 in the lightweight women's double sculls, but only 2 here at the moment with a level field going through 400 metres. The lead has changed a number of times here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty close again. And funny fact, it's almost the same nations. Again, Switzerland, China, again, Canada, and Australia.
Yeah, as we move towards the 500-metre timing marker, we'll be able to tell you exactly who's in the lead. China pulling it back now from the likes of France, from the Czech Republic, from Canada, all of that centre part of the lake, including Switzerland and Australia as well. All 6 crews with overlap. As we go through 500 metres gone, it's China through 500 metres first, ahead of France. It's then going to be Australia in 3rd, but punching close. It's then in 4th place, I'm not sure who's... well, it's even, actually. Apologies. We've got an equal 3rd place. That's why I couldn't see it on my screen. The same time for Canada as Australia, going through 500 metres gone. And then Switzerland in 6th.
Wir sind nun etwas nach der 500-Meter-Marke und es ist das Boot von China, welches das Rennen anführt, vor dem Boot aus Frankreich und den Booten aus Australien und der Tschechischen Republik. Die Schweizer sind etwas zurückgebunden hier auf den ersten 500 Meter, aber wir kennen das von ihnen. Auch in Zagreb waren sie nicht so schnell auf den ersten Metern, aber haben mächtig aufgedreht am Schluss. Und all die Schweizer Spaziergänger, welche hier am Rotsee spazieren und die Schweizer anfeuern, die hoffen sicherlich, dass das wieder der Fall sein wird und die Schweizer aufdrehen auf den zweiten 1000 Metern.
China in lane number 2, the combination of Sun Man and Fan Junji out at the front of the field. They've managed to get a little bit more space now to breathe as they move through the water. 37 strokes a minute. This combination 12th at the World Championships back in Linz and not a race since. So great to see them out here having not had much of a clue of what their competition are doing and leading the way. But it really is too close. Canada emerging as the second of those crews that will cross through the 1,000-metre marker. And what a day it would be for them if they could qualify yet another boat for the Tokyo Games. We've just seen an incredible day from them with the single, with the 4. This could be yet another crew here in Max Latimer and Patrick Keane as they currently sit in 2nd place here, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. They are doing a really good job, and I think they will overtake China in the second 1,000 meters. We also saw that in the previous race that China couldn't hold with their high pace in the first 1,000 meters, but still they are in the lead and are about the same speed as the Canada boat. Interesting fact, yesterday I was talking to Mario Gier, himself Olympic champion in the lightweight 4 in Rio, and he predicted that Canada will win this race. We will see how it develops through the course, but also he hoped that the Swiss boat will be the second boat qualifying for the Olympics, but at the moment it doesn't look too good for Switzerland. They are a bit behind the other 5 boats, but it's still not decided yet as we're approaching the 1,500 meter mark.
Yeah, I don't like to write anyone off, but I think the Swiss just too far back in lane one now. Strutzner and Schäuble just not really in contention for these top two spots, but certainly between the rest of these crews, the Australians the furthest back in fifth position, but I think anyone from the centre of this lake could take this. The Canadians move again. They're now less than a canvas away from the win, and as they go through 500 metres to go, they're a mere 3 metres back. They're up at 39. Latimer and Keane now wanting to take the Canadians. They surge again, 40 strokes a minute now to pool level with China's combination of Sun Man and Fan Junji in third place currently, but not good enough to get to the Olympic to Olympic qualification and to the start line. Vrashil and Simonek of the Czech Republic, they're up at rate 41 to try and gain back that boat speed, which is working for them. They're now the fastest moving boat on the course, and they're closing in on our leading two here, Michael.
Yeah, the Czech boat with Miroslav Vracil, a really experienced rower. He puts everything into his sculls and tries to close the gap, and he's really closing the gap to China. At the moment, it's only 4 meters between China and the Czech Republic, and we are approaching the last 300 meters.
For the last time, we're going to announce who our Tokyo qualifiers are in the lightweight men's double scull, and the boats come into the view of the tower. 3 bow balls in alignment. It could even be the Czech Republic that move through both of these leading crews. I think it's going to be China that miss out. They're starting to fall apart. They're moving backwards. The steering's gone in the Chinese crew. They've shortened up to half slide. It's going to be Canada that take the win ahead of the Czech Republic. China, just with that really tiresome last 250 metres, miss out. It's then going to be France ahead of Australia, and then it's going to be the home crew from Switzerland that roll in as the final crew to complete this final Olympic qualification regatta.
Was für ein Rennen der Tschechischen Republik. Sie haben ihren Rückstand bei 1000 Metern weggemacht und sind als Zweit ins Ziel gefahren. Hinter Kanada, diese beiden Boote qualifizieren sich für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio. Auf Rang 3 China, welche am Schluss eingebrochen sind. Rang 4 Frankreich, 5 Australien und auf dem 6. Rang die Schweiz.
So don't go anywhere. We've still got a couple of victory ceremonies for our Olympic qualifiers to come, with the lightweight women's double sculls next.
The victory ceremony for the lightweight women's double sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Leichtgewichtsfrauen-Doppelzweier.
In third place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 3 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Ireland. Ireland represented by
Irland, vertreten durch
Eva Casey. And Margaret Cramen. In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Switzerland. Switzerland represented by
die Schweiz, vertreten durch Patricia Merz und Frederik Roll.
In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
The United States of America. The USA represented by
die Vereinigten Staaten, vertreten durch
Molly Reckford and Michelle Sexer. Let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athletinnen.
The victory ceremony for the lightweight men's double sculls.
Die Siegerehrung für den Leichtgewichtsmänner-Doppelzweier.
In second place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
Auf Platz 2 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
The Czech Republic. The Czech Republic represented by
Die Tschechische Republik, vertreten durch
Jiří Šimanek and Miroslav Vrastil. In first place and qualifying for the Olympic Regatta.
auf Platz 1 und qualifiziert für die Olympische Regatta.
Canada. Canada represented by
Kanada, vertreten durch
Patrick Keane and Maxwell Latimer. Ladies and gentlemen, one final time, let's applaud our Olympic athletes.
Applaus für unsere olympischen Athleten.
So, everyone, that concludes our racing for the final Olympic qualification regatta here in Lucerne. And what a regatta it has been. We now have 29 new crews on their way to Tokyo, and best of luck to all of those who have qualified here this weekend. And all the best to those who didn't quite make it and were eliminated from this regatta. I'm sure we'll be seeing you back again later in the season. Big thanks as well to all of our volunteers, the organising committee, to World Rowing for making this event happen. It's been such a fantastic day of racing despite the rain that's now pouring down. And, well, great to be here on the Rotse. And, Michael, I know you've raced here so much, but what a stunning day. What was your favourite race of the day, I guess?
Yeah, it was really intense. All racing in the morning until the last about 50 minutes ago. I mean, I have to be honest that my favorite race was the lightweight women's double scull with Switzerland qualifying for the Olympics in second place. They were a bit behind at 500 meters in fourth place, 1000 at third place, and then the second 1000 they were the fastest boat on the course and almost beaten USA. So it was an unbelievable performance from Switzerland, and it's the first boat from Switzerland qualifying at a final Olympic qualification regatta since 1996.
Wow, gosh, that's some time, and great for the organising committee who have put on this race to see Switzerland on home water. I must say, I think my favourite race was actually that last race of the day. The lightweight men's double sculls really put on a show for us, and fantastic to see the Canadians and the Czech Republic there getting their medals for qualifying through to the Olympic Games. Well, that's us now. We're wrapping up here for this weekend here at the Rotse, but don't go anywhere, because next weekend we've got the second World Cup of the season starting here on Friday, so hopefully we'll be welcoming some of these crews back, plus a few more additional crews. We'll both be here. My name's Camilla Hadland. I'm joined here by Michael Schmidt, and thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.